Well, good evening, good evening, good evening to all of you joining us on the Marcy Week show, all of our loyal opposition and our friends and guests as we engage another tremendously informative night that we're certainly looking forward to. We're looking forward to Kemar joining us and Mr. Franklin joining us and Mr. Murray Glenn Murray joining us. And of course, we are looking forward to Marcia Weeks joining us a little later on in the show as well. As you might be aware, she is prepping for the show next weekend. No, this coming weekend, I believe it is, but we'll be sharing more on that later in the program. But there it is, Speak Life. She's prepping, rehearsals and all of that. This coming weekend. My goodness, time is flying. Could you believe that? We're already moving toward the middle of April, and my goodness, it was just April Fool's Day just a few weeks ago. So, wow, things are just flying along at one heck of a rate. But so she'll be joining us a little later on in the program, God willing. And we're going to be having a great, great night this evening. We have quite a show lined up for you tonight. We have, of course, our special guests. I call them special guests because they're very special people. We have Mr. Glenn Murray that will be coming in. And, Glenn always takes us down a walk of history relative to what is happening today. And I'm going to tell you this, there's a lot of stuff that Glenn can tell us that would be quite embarrassing for some folk. And I am hoping one of these nights, I'm trying to provoke him into engaging some of those things one of these nights. But we're looking forward to him joining us very soon. And we're also looking forward to Mr. Franklin coming back in. Of course, just a couple of days ago, he was dealing with the matters to do with the public civil servants and that type of thing. So we're looking forward to him joining us. And of course, Mr. Stewart, Kemar Stewart, later on the show. You are not going to want to miss this show tonight. And so we want to encourage you to share, get your friends in. Now, let me take a minute to welcome all of you. I'll try to call you by name, or some of you by name, but when you get into this name calling business and you don't call all of them, sometimes people get upset. So please, I pray, I beg you, at the beginning of the show, don't get upset with me if I miss your name. But it's great. I saw somebody earlier saying they were joining us out of Brooklyn, New York. And I'm just looking back here to see if I can locate that message, but it's a pleasure to have. There you are. Yes, that is Erwin Nurse, who is joining from Brooklyn in New York. Erwin, welcome. We are so happy to have you. Dolores Paulette, of course, what's the word I'm looking for? The committed Remy M 6070, dedicated individual that continues to help us with the sharing of the platform. Cecilia Miller, good evening to you as well. And Born Again 48, blessed night to you too, sir or madam, whichever it is. Gel Biz, a pleasant evening to you as well. We welcome all of you sons and daughters of this beautiful family. We loyal sons and daughters all of this great, great country. Yes, Barbados. So good evening to you, Noel, Victorious, Queen, Captain, good evening to you as well, James Hardin, and Noel, Llewellyn, Eiffel, good evening to you, Marcia, good evening as well, Marcy. Blessings to you from London. Wow, locked on and anticipating an inspiring night. Yes, we are. FX Trading, BB, Tyrone Blackman, St. Ches, Joyanne Faith, good night to you as well. Jeremiah, Joseph, we are going to keep the pressure on, sir. You can be sure of that. Michael Herwood, Jefferson Sobers, Judith Ann Clark, Sandra Franklin, good night to you as well. God bless you. Great to have you with us this evening. Emerson Babb, just in time. Yes, just in time. I love that. Just in time. Sir Alfred, what can I say? You have been such a loyal and faithful individual, among with several others. But from the time I was involved in the show. Every single time I see you there, and I want to commend you, and I want to commend all of you that are on every single time the show is on. And yes, Mark Boyce, good night to you too from London. Yeah, beautiful London. I've been there a couple of times, and a beautiful city. I've enjoyed the time there. But I want to say how really happy and how honored we are to have all of you joining us every time this show is on, because we couldn't have this show, this type of show, without the persons such as yourself continuously encouraging and inspiring us to be promoters of the truth and exposers, because we believe in the fundamental characteristics of transparency and accountability. And I've said on this show on more than one occasion that we cannot do politics in Barbados. I don't live anywhere else. I live in Barbados. If the UK wants to keep politics the way they have had it for the last 100,000 years, that's fine. If America wants to do the same thing, that's fine. If Trinidad wants to do the same thing, that's their business. But we in Barbados, we want things to change. We want things to be different. We are now a republic, and I believe we are one of the youngest or newest republics in the world. And so I really want personally, and I'm sure I will have the support of most, if not all of you, to see a shift in the way we do politics in Barbados. I was listening to a video today of a person speaking concerning the MPH of the success of Singapore. And I noted that he spoke about garrisoning the best people to run our country, not the lackeys, not family, not people who you like, but people who can best manage the affairs of this country. And I must tell you that over the years, I thank God for all of the politicians we have had, all the parliamentaries, individuals we have had. But our parliament has been littered with attorneys at law. And I am not too sure, and I do stand to be corrected, I'm not too sure that attorneys at law are necessarily good business people. And I've observed that, running a government, running any organization is like running a business. And you have to be sharp. You have to give your best. You have to get your best people. You have to put the wrong pegs in the wrong holes and not the square pegs in wrong holes. You've got to learn. You've got to know where to put the best people. And what I'm observing is that we seem to be experimenting from a ministerial standpoint with persons who have no experience in the particular areas that they're given responsibility. And if they do, they certainly seem to have forgotten how they should operate business. And you would have known down through the last several weeks, several months, what we are referring to. I mean, this fiasco with Joe's River, the fiasco with the housing and the overruns, the fiasco with the and you'll hear tonight Akimar speak to it, the SEAWEED machine, and the fiasco with the sewage, and the fiasco with the water. It's like you're experimenting with people to try and find out who's the best fit. You need to find people. And listen, folks, for us to have honest politicians, we have to start with having honest people. People, you have to be honest to say to people who want to represent you, no, you are not qualified. And when I speak of qualification, I am not talking about a degree out of the University of the West Indies. Some of the greatest achievements we have had from some of the people in our country have been by people who are not necessarily university graduates. Now, don't think for a moment that I am suggesting that university graduation and it's the improvement of an individual through your academic development and there's anything wrong with it. But you've got to marry that with some experience and some expertise and some innovation and some ideas and some, if I can put it this way, some risks, trying new things, trying it a little different. And as a republic, we need to have this happening. A republic is supposed to be by the people, of the people, for the people. And when a government is making decisions without consultation, not after, before, You see, before we had governments that did that and could do whatever they like, I am sorry, but the people of the world no longer trust governments, not since this pandemic has occurred. And I think from a ministerial religious standpoint, I would hear a lot of amens coming from the 491 of you who are already on this platform. And I know there are going to be hundreds of others joining, because since this pandemic has occurred, people have not trusted their governments because, up to this evening, I had YouTube message me that they were taking down one of my videos from 2020 because I spoke to the matter of the treatments, and they are a abominable. Well, don't let me say something. Let me stop, because this is Marcia's show, and I don't want anything to happen to her channel. So I am going to hold back on saying anything further where that is concerned. But we need to have people who know what they're doing. We need to have people who are willing to consult, not with their lackeys, but with people who are prepared to tell you that's not the way to do it. That is not the productive process. And what we have are people who don't like to gather persons around them who will tell them no. I remember having a conversation with the former Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Owen Seymour Arthur. And he said to me, young Nichols, he used to call me young Nichols, he said, I don't like yes people around me. I don't like yes people. And so we want people who will keep us on our toes, like Junior Welch. Junior Welch has just reminded me, national anthem. You see what I'm saying? Now, if you can't handle that, and if you can't value that, then you shouldn't be serving in public office. You should be in a position where you can handle things. So I'm going to ask Dave to prep that national anthem for us. We have 520 people on the show at the moment. I generally do try, though, Junior, to hold it back a little bit, to give persons, to give a larger number of persons the opportunity to share in the national anthem. We are up to 521. And I'll tell you what, Junior, I'm just going to hold for a couple more minutes. It's just 7:12. Caswell is going to be joining us in just a couple of minutes. So I'm just going to hold for a couple more minutes, give some other folk the opportunity to get on board. Adrian, good to see you again. If there's a requirement in Westminster for a representative to come to the public before they vote, let's say, how can they do that when they are minister of Adrian, I don't know, boy. Listen, but remember, we are supposed to be out of this Westminster thing. We're republic. Anyhow, I can just leave that there. Errol, great to see you from Connecticut. And did I miss any? You, Slyn King, Denzel Grisette, God bless you. Good to have all of you with us. So, Dave, listen, let's get this national anthem up. Let's get this national anthem and let's officially commence the evening. What do you all say? National anthem of Barbados. Amen, amen, amen. What a powerful anthem. In plenty and in time of need, when this fair land was young, our brave forefathers sowed the seed from which our pride is sprung, a pride that makes no wanton boast of what it has withstood and binds our hearts from coast to coast, the pride of nationhood. It doesn't matter whether you're a Democratic Labour Party supporter, a Barbados Labour Party supporter, an APP supporter, or whatever party you know, whichever of the parties you support or whichever you stand with. At the end of the day, we are Barbadians, and what ought to attend our deepest interests is what is to the best interest of the country and the people, not the party, the country and the people. And so that has always been my position as I've grown through politics. I have grown to appreciate all the contribution that has been made with respect to our country in terms of agriculture, education, finance, manufacturing, all of the different sectors, sports and entertainment, all of them, housing. We've come a long way. And we haven't come a long way because of the government. We've come a long way because of the people. And that is why the government needs to listen to the people. That is why we are here. And, rather than getting an attitude and getting aggressive and angry and upset, why don't you have a conversation with the people? As a preacher, there are times that I have come off the pulpit and there are people who have accosted me sometimes even before I've got to the altar, coming off, and they've said to me, Pastor, you said so and so, but I don't agree with you, and so on. And I have not taken an offense to it. Sometimes I understand that the reason people are that way is because either they haven't understood clearly what I have said, or I haven't done a really good enough job in clarifying it, explaining it, expanding on it so that they could understand. And so I have a discussion with them to see, okay, where do you have a challenge? And so we talk so that I can do better at what I am good at, if you understand what I mean and what I like. And so we need to get a different caliber of politician in our House of Assembly who is not going to take an offense because people tell you there is an enormous cost overrun and you are going to, what is it? I heard somebody say that the minister said something. I'm just looking back here at it to see if I read it right. The minister says something about he's not unduly bothered or something of that sort. You ought to be. You ought to be when you have almost a 99% increase overrun and you haven't even completed, I'm almost tempted to say a half dozen houses. You haven't completed 50 homes. You ought to be concerned. And when the people of the country whose taxpayers' money you are using and charging us increased taxes one way or the other, you should be able to listen to our concerns and explain to us. And if you've messed up, here's the best thing to do. Admit it, apologize, and let's get back on getting it corrected. Instead of that, what we encounter is a government that develops an attitude as if they are beyond doing anything wrong. And even if they do something wrong, how dare you question what I'm doing? Well, we dare to question you because we are the people, the citizens of the country who put you to work on our behalf. And I've often said it, and I know they don't like to hear it. When you are elected to office and you do the job in the Ministry of Transport of paving roads, that is your job. It is your job to ensure we have electricity and lighting through our districts. It is your job to ensure that we have a proper health system and a proper functioning hospital and an increase in hospitals. That's your job. Don't expect to receive accolades for it. When I worked in Barbados Shipping and Trading and Warren's Motors, I did not get, thank you so much, Sinclair, 79% over. But to be honest with you, Sinclair, it sounds more like 99%. That's the truth. But nevertheless, I did not get accolades for doing my sales. That was my job. That was what I was paid for. But there were times I did something very special and I got an accolade for it. And so if you do something special, then you will get an accolade. But don't come to me with no, look at what we have done. No, I am not looking at what you've done, because it's your job. That's what it is. You are hired by the people of this country to help to develop this country by doing the things that are in the best interest of the country legitimately, and not putting us in a debt hole that only God in heaven knows how we're going to get out. And I sincerely hope that when we start signing agreements with the Chinese and the Russians and the Ukrainians and all these different people, not that we're doing that, okay? I'm just using an example, all right? I hope that when we start signing all these things, that we know what are the ramifications of it. The people ought to know. For example, I noticed someone sent me something today about a contract in terms of let me see if I can find it. I got so many emails, so many messages that come into my thing. Man, it is unbelievable. But something to do with the signing of a contract today, I believe it was, with the Chinese to provide electric buses. And I am asking, okay, that's fine and dandy, but what are the conditions? Is there anything that we are being asked to give back? What is the give and take? We as the people ought to know, because when you are dead and gone and you are no longer in government, the people of the country are going to be left to have to deal with whatever you left. And you should be striving to ensure that we are not being enslaved again by neo-colonialistic processes, while not by slave masters now who are putting chains around our necks and around our legs and our arms in terms of literal chains, but they're now chaining us financially. And they're chaining us in terms of, okay, we are willing to do this, but this is what we want back in return. So we want to know, if you're signing up contracts to do with new buses in Barbados, then we ought to know what are the conditions of the agreement. If the Chinese government is donating them to the Barbados, not to the Barbados government, they're not donating them to the Barbados government, they're donating them to the Barbados people. You represent us. It is not about you. It is about the people of this country. So when you sign these agreements and you put them up before us, we want to know what are the conditions. And I was just trying to find it here. I mean, my goodness, I got so much stuff coming in. I don't even know how we can handle all this. Anyhow, Marcia will come on at some point in time and give me a hand. I'm sure she will, because I tell you, there's just so much to engage. We have got to really be sure that we are dealing with everything. All right. So, my goodness, I'm going to stop here for tonight, because I simply am trying to express truth, and I'm simply trying to express a genuine, heartfelt concern for my country, and that we are able to put our best foot forward for the benefit of the people and not a handful. I want to know, if you break the law, what are you being paid to do it? Because from what I'm hearing, boy, there are a lot of laws that are being broken, but I'm going to leave the experts to deal with that. I see in our back room our two special gentlemen that I'm going to bring in on the show with us tonight. One is I have to find a word for him, but it's Mr. General Caswell Franklin. And Caswell, I heard your voice today. Good evening, sir. I heard your voice today on radio, speaking to the matter of the well-being of the employees as a result of this young man. We prayed for his family just yesterday morning and again this morning, who fell. I'm not sure from where, but he fell to his death, and it was horrendous. We could well imagine how the family must have felt. But I heard your voice today speaking on the behalf of the workers concerning safety on the job site. So we want to welcome you, sir, to our show this evening. And I'm just going to give you a moment to say hello to the others, and then I'm going to slip to bring in Mr. Murray.
Good night, everyone. Good night, Freddie. You know, you're luckier than me. I didn't hear the news today. I was in a meeting.
Oh, man, I heard your voice. I tell you, I listened to you.
I suspect it would have happened because the reporters called me, but, you know, it's heart-wrenching to know that the person leave his home.
Yes.
You know, to come to Barbados to make a living to support his family, you know, and he dies in a manner like that. Anybody dying in a manner that is heart-wrenching, but it's particularly heart-wrenching when you come to Barbados, you know, looking for better, and better ended up in death. No.
Wow.
That's awful. And, you know, when I see what's happening around the place, in terms of safety and health at work, you know, I'm amazed. You know, like you will go down the road and you will see people on the top of a tall building, and they're walking around there like though, you know, they are on some level surface on the ground playing football or something, you know, without a care. You are required to wear a harness. Nobody provides the harness for you.
But you know, that's what I wondered about, Caswell, when I heard about this. I asked, as I was going down this morning to work to drop my daughter to work, I said, but aren't people, when they're working up in those heights, 30, 40, 50 feet in the air, don't they provide those safety harnesses and so on for them? You know, and I'm going to let you treat to that in a moment, but I want to bring in Glenn as well, if I can, just before you kick off. And so we can chat a little bit about maybe that and some other things. I know Glenn has a lot to share. You late coming in on me though. I thought you was coming in at 7:15. I was looking for you so bad, and I hear trying to talk to Holy Spirit.
No, we were having trouble with the link.
Okay.
Both Glenn and myself.
Well, I see Glenn there, so I'm going to bring Glenn in.
We had
both
to call
of you were having
to get
trouble.
another link.
All right. Good night,
Since
gentlemen.
both of you were having trouble, I'm going to bring Glenn, and I want to see your face, Glenn, so I can just hide that comment. So good to see you, my friend. God bless you. Welcome to the Marcia Week Show.
Thank you. I always feel at home on this show, and I because of the link, I did hear your opening salvo, but your comments after we broke in was enough for me to say that I share your almost despair at what is happening in Barbados. And it's amazing how many people share that feeling where you go home, where you talk. There's this level of despondency, despair, lack of hope, lack of confidence, lack of trust that permeating the society. And therefore, we really have a social issue at our hand. But
yes.
That apart, I want to go back to a bit of.
No, Glenn, sorry, I just want to ask you a question, because if the answer to this is yes, I'm going to take up part of my presentation tonight. As a minister of government, have you ever assembled the people in any department that you're responsible for and have meetings with them to tell them about changes in terms and conditions and that kind of stuff?
No, that's the role of the union, the PSs and whatnot.
Yeah, I thank you. So I don't have to get rid of my thing.
I used to meet with PSs every month. All the heads of the department, we discussed. And that's why we never had an issue, because things were started like at the beginning, early. So that is alien. That is, they're making up the rules as they go. Now, if I think they've abandoned the rules, there's a feeling that anything came before it depends, colonial.
Well, Glenn was just about to say that's when he had permanent secretaries, but it don't seem that the permanent secretaries are permanent anymore.
I know. That's part of the degradation of Barbadian system.
I will say one thing quickly before I just let you go. Myself and Caswell, we'll engage as you go through. Yeah. But there's a little verse in the scripture I want to leave with all of us, and you'll determine who is leading the country. It says, "When the righteous rule, the people rejoice. But when the wicked are ruled, they groan. I say no more." So you can tell who is ruling on the basis of how the people are responding. All right? I can just leave that.
Well,
so,
groaning.
Mr. Glenn, God bless you.
Thank you very much for setting setting the pace, opening the backing, pulling up the curtains, opening the whole show. Because one of the things I'm growing about and they continue to grow, is the Jones River situation. And you will recall that last time it was on last Wednesday, I went through, I paid some particular attention to the
Glenn, you're gone. I'm not hearing you.
I put some attention.
I'm hearing him good. You sure it is him or you, Caswell? Because I'm hearing him good.
I was saying I spent some time hearing. I spent some time dealing with the new, or relatively new Planning and Development Act, which we spoke about things like the principles of the act, the purpose of the act, duties of the minister, establishment and composition of the planning board, and the posting of the names on the board of the members of the board on the Gazette. In that regard, I want to thank. I was doing that deliberately because I thought that I'm tired and sick of this new mode that's been introduced by the government, where chairman on boards and members of board, public boards, financed by the public, whose members get whatever sums they get from the public, being virtually anonymous. You don't even get an announcement like used to come through the government information service.
Glenn, let me interrupt you for just one quick minute, because Caswell seems to be having a problem hearing. So just let me put it out there to the loyal opposition, if they're hearing you okay. If you are hearing Mr. Murray all right, please just indicate in the chat that you're hearing him fine, because I just want to make sure that we're not having a technical problem on our end, or if it's on Mr. Caswell's end, where we can find it. You're hearing okay. I hear that. Cali B says they're hearing you loud and clear. Yes, I'm hearing. By doing the things that are in the best. Yeah, I'm hearing something there. I see it. Yeah, apparently we are all hearing you fine, Glenn.
Okay.
Apparently, I can hear something playing back in Caswell's. He's probably playing back to hear where he's at.
Right.
So I'm just going to mute him because it's feeding back through us. But everybody is saying they're hearing you loud and clear. So our end seems to be okay. So I hope Mr. Franklin is going to be able to clean up his end.
Okay.
How are you doing, Caswell? Are you hearing us yet?
Doesn't seem so.
Freddie, I'm not hearing you at all.
But
we just have to go and get another device to go and listen to somebody, listen to the show. The link for the other,
we are hearing you loud and clear.
On the link for the guest.
Okay.
Well, the link is okay because the link is okay because he's here. So he's probably having a problem on his device or what he's using. All right, Glenn, you go ahead. We'll see how we can get that rectified.
I was saying the reason why I was pushing to get the names of the members of the board is all in the interest of transparency and accountability. Because I'm tired of this, what I call information starvation. Information starvation, which this government has rammed down the throats of Barbadians, where they give as little information as possible. Things that used to be routine. It used to be routine after the board is announced. You get the names, the chairman, some of the background. You get to know who is what. That now it goes apparently on the official gazette, and that is that. And the official gazette is not the tool accessible to the average Barbadian who are accustomed to hearing them on radio, on TV, reading newspapers. I think we have to go back to that. Otherwise, we'll always be getting minimal information, little appreciation of what is going on around us, and then we can't make informed decisions on what not. But again, I want to thank the public for coming up with names, and I also want to commend the team at the show for coming up with the photographs. I see where we're able to get 11 of the 13 pictures up on the site, so that people know who's what, and if they meet them on the street or no, then we can let them express their feelings for what see what is happening with the board. I think that's democracy at work.
Well, Glenn, let me see if Dave has that picture that he can bring it up. Dave, if you have that picture of the board, the Planning and Development Department board, is that right, Glenn? That's the board.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Dave, if you have the picture of that board, if you can bring it up for me while Mr. Mr. Murray is speaking. If you don't, just message me and I will forward it. I will send it through to you. Go ahead, Mr. Murray.
Yeah, no, I think that is very important in order to have democratic government and where people know what's happening to their country and what they're being asked to do. So and thanks again for the team for coming up with that information. You see, the thing is that I have really.
Can you enlarge it a bit? Can you enlarge it a bit, Dave? Just make it a bit bigger that we can see the names properly. Glenn is up there on the screen.
Right, that's it. That is, I think you see the 13 names, 11 photographs, and thank you very much. Now the people can know who is doing what their responsibilities are. They're being paid out of the public service to do what is supposed to be public service, and they should be known to the public. You can give them a phone call, drop them a letter, meet them, and engage them to express your reaction to what is happening at Joe's River. Any other matter that can before that board. I'm conscious. Part of the purposes for the act. It says it's supposed to provide for orderly and progressive development for orderly and progressive use of land or development of land. Orderly and progressive development of land. And I when I heard that, and I've tried to mull over what does progressive mean. And I remembered Alice in Wonderland where Humpty Dumpty says that when he says something, it means we said when Humpty Dumpty said, when I use a word, it means just what I choose it to mean, nothing more, nothing less. When I use a word, it means just what I want it to mean, nothing more, nothing more. So I'm very skeptical about these buzzwords you hear: transformation, enfranchisement, transformational, progressive. So I have to ask the question: what does it mean? What does it mean? Progressive means in the act they talk the orderly and progressive. No, orderly is straightforward. Everybody knows what orderly means: regulated, functional. You can follow it. Acceptable, orderly. Progressive is up in the air. It can mean various things to various people. So therefore, I'm still a little concerned as to what is meant by that is too vague to me and too subjective. And maybe somebody can open that to me. I want also to look at the question of I also look at the food and I also look at the Food and Agriculture Organization website online to deal with it. I was trying to get as wide as possible a feel as to how this plan development I see. And they mentioned some things about it. This is the Plan Development Act for 2019. It says that it provides for effective access to administrative and judicial proceedings in order to ensure the sustainable use of public and private land in the interest of present and future generations. In the interest of present and future generations, also to protect the natural and cultural heritage. Those they're resonating because of what is happening at Joseph. So
the natural and cultural heritage.
Yes. And also to protect the natural and cultural heritage. So I think of Joe's River naturally. So I also decided to take a close look at a document. I think you would have the document there, Ferdy, slide 1, the cover of a book.
Yeah, Dave will bring it up. I think.
Right, if you can bring it up for me.
Dave, you could bring that up for Mr. Murray.
And before you get to that, this act, the Tongue and the Plan Development Act, was passed in 2019, right? It was passed in the House on January 25th, 2019, and then it was amended. Believe it or not, amended on June the 2nd, 2020. There were 23 amendments. 23 amendments to one act that was passed. And that tells me something that maybe, and I tell you why that caught my, those many amendments to a fresh act, it has to be significant, particularly when I saw that the document I'm looking at now, it says, welcome to Barbados, a trans, can you read it for me? Can you read it, Dave?
Dave, you can make it, Dave, you can make it a little bigger.
Welcome to Barbados, and it says a transformative development opportunity in the premier luxury tourism destination. The language in the premier, not in a premier, in the premier, that definitive caught my eye. But that apart, and it's dated on the 24th of
April 2019.
Now remember, the act was passed in January 2019, and this conference, because the document is the cover of a document provided to people attending this conference in April. So maybe the reasons for the subsequent 23 amendments were necessitated by the rush. Maybe there's a rush to get it ready for the conference, and therefore you can have. I can't recall anything that necessitated so many things in such a short space of time.
Can I help?
Yeah.
I can tell you what happened. I was a member of the Senate in those days, and the morning I got to the Senate, I was presented with this bill to say going to pass today. I, for the love of God, I don't think I'm that bright. I can go on. So what I did, I objected. Of course, my objections were ignored, and I didn't go to lunch. I didn't do anything. I sat down that day and I went through the act as best I can, and I was able to find a few of the things that were taken out, including one you wouldn't believe was that if you were renovating your house, you had to move out and get permission from the chief town plan and move back in if many repairs were over. That was one of the things I picked up right away. As I told you, I had just an hour because I'm following the debate. I'm speaking in the previous bills, and they said this one coming after lunch, so I couldn't go to lunch or anything. I sat down upstairs. It was a rush job, and I didn't want the public of Barbados to know what they were doing, so they did it one time and only give us no notice at all. So that is the reason that you got all those amendments, because when they saw the amendments, I think Dr. Maynard saw some, other people saw some, and then they still passed the act, even though they saw the difficulty with it. But then they came back and fixed, at least tried to fix some of the problems that we identified, because it was too rushed. Nobody knew what they were doing. They didn't discuss it with the people of the country. They didn't discuss it with the members of the Senate, their side. They didn't discuss it with them. To just rush this thing through. So it was done for a reason. It was done fast.
Thanks for the enlightenment. So that confirms my suspicion there. But if you can go to the next picture, page 2 of the document. Right, you see a picture of the premises. Welcome. She's making a welcoming statement. Let me read it for you. She brags. We have this brags. That's my term. We have overhauled our 54-year-old Town and Country Planning Act and replaced it with a new Planning and Development Act with a presumption in favor of development. Let me repeat that. We replaced it with a new Planning and Development Act with a presumption in favor of development, which emphasizes speed and predictability. We further have a commitment that any application that does not initially improve are responded to with recommendations so that would secure approval. But no, yeah. So I'm curious. What do you think the term a presumption in favor of development? I thought that when I have been a member of a few boards, and that you would examine a case on the merits of the facts, on the information data presented to you. You don't presume if you're going. I thought for fairness and fairness and transparency and equality, you have go with an open mind and you determine the fact. You don't. When I hear the phrase a presumption of a presumption of development, I'm thinking that it makes me feel like you've already decided you approve development, and you then work backwards to justify at the meeting why you approve it. I don't know if that makes sense to you. A presumption is an assumption that has not been manifested, about that has not yet been manifested. How can you therefore presume upfront, presume approval for development before you've seen anything? I think that's something that worries me, and I think that I would like to hear somebody in government, Prime Minister, when she addresses such things, to explain that what does it mean? What is a presumption? What is a presumption of development?
Well, I'm looking at the very next sentence,
Go ahead.
in which she goes on to say, if I'm reading it correctly, in rethinking planning, we have adjusted our previous height restrictions, because I remember when I was applying for a wall, the time I can build a wall higher than 6 feet. Our previous height restrictions to both maximize economic return and preserve windows to the sea. Glenn, I just drove down the West Coast on Monday, and it was the most emotional, heart-rending experience I have ever had in my life traveling Barbados. I could hardly see the sea. I don't know what your experience is in the experience of other people, but there were so many windows to the sea on the West Coast. And when I drive down now, I can hardly find one, only find one or two.
But when you read this kind of language in official document under the picture of the Prime Minister saying a presumption in favor of development, you then begin to understand that the die is cast I keep wondering why this attitude. I thought we are all products of our own environment. We grew up in Ferdinand to less extent. Okay, as we grew up in an environment, a society with values, with norms, where we grew up under thoughts of democratic socialism, where services were open to the public, and it was all to develop the public. Started in 1951 with the right to vote. We saw that that the government and the society had a right to do so, provide the basic education, health, etc., etc. But those terms makes it seem as though you are a child, a product of capitalism. And we're development for development's sake. We're almost development for development's sake, because you're doing everything possible to make it happen. And then I decided, you know what, sir? It cannot be the Prime Minister's fault, because she would have grown, her grandfather, the late Ernest Dayton Morton, he represented the conservative interest in Barbados. He represented the Electors Association. Then it was the Barbados National Party. Then finally it was called the Morton Team. Those represented capitalism and capitalism in Barbados. So therefore, I presume the Prime Minister would have grown up in a household where business and capitalism and buying and selling and business deals and the whole ethos of capitalism and business would have, I can only would infuse her mind. That's the only, because it is not reflective of the traditional culture of the Barbados Labour Party. It's the exact opposite. In most cases, I can say. So where does that come from? And that helps to explain to me why you have this. I love the phrase, a presumption in favor of development. I think I'm a little baffled, but very concerned about that. If that has informed the thinking and the decision making, no wonder then you see what's happening at Joes River. Joes River is part of the patrimony of the culture and heritage of Barbados. How then could it have gotten that unless it was gone through the board and gone to the Prime Minister? So where is the adherence to the culture and the heritage of Barbados as reflected in such decisions? To me, they're absent. And more I'm hearing about that East Coast. They've abandoned the concept for far as the realization of a national park running the East Coast of Barbados. The Scotland District Authority those kind of things which were put in place by visionary Tom Adams and also by Owen Arthur have been abandoned by this government in favor of a presumption in favor of development. And I would like to hear sometime from the Prime Minister and the board, mandate board, what does that mean? How do they reflect it in their decision making? Can we go then to the next?
But before you slip from that, Glenn, one of the things that has concerned me, and I'm a simple fella, I don't know a lot in terms of all the politics and all of that, but I would want to believe that before you make a decision, that there would be consultation. Would I be correct? Would that be the correct process? You have some sort of consultation. You take the information you receive from your consultations, and they fashion your decision. Wouldn't that be the process?
And like I mentioned last Wednesday, and all the other prime ministers would actually go to the site and see for itself. Especially it has a tendency to be controversial. You go to make sure that what is being put on paper or being discussed at a meeting reflects what you've seen and experienced for yourself. So I would like to think that practice still obtains. It's a necessary practice. It's a very healthy practice.
But I don't want to delay you in your presentation, so please go ahead.
Okay. Next, this slide, which is called number 3, is listed. It is headed "Opportunities for Local, Regional, and National Investors," and it has a list of 7 sites for strategic reinvestment in areas, and they're listed from A to G. I'm particularly interested in one because G, if you look at the bottom, the last item at the bottom, it's government headquarters. Government headquarters. We had heard rumors and talk and statements that government headquarters was going to be gobbled up in the development, in tourism development in the future. Let me say that from the days of my work with Prime Minister Adams and throughout my time with Prime Minister Arthur, we would often get proposals and suggestions, urgings, especially from the international organization, to put government headquarters spot to good use, putting that'd be an idea for a conference center, a hotel, or whatever. And we ignored it. That was never in it because we appreciated what government headquarters mean to Barbados.
Yes.
Barbadians say, can you imagine somebody would advocate demolishing number 10 Downing Street, or the White House, or the Elysee Palace, the office of the president in France, to put a tourism project? And people seriously put that down in paper. Why? Above that, what would be the rationale for turning that into tourism project? Why? Is it too good? That is one of the first buildings after we have university that started in 1951. The right to vote went to every Barbadian over the age of 21 for qualifications for ownership, property or income. That was one of the early buildings. It was that was not in fact that just celebrated its 68th year. That was actually opened on the 20th of March 1956. I remember seeing it coming out of the ground when it going up the road to Combermere.
A few months before I got born.
Look at the design. I've never heard rumors of cracks, falling, environmental problems. Look at the designs. The fire station downtown, and what used to be part of the Freedom Park, that was also an early creation of buildings that came out of the bowels and the work and the thought and the goal and desires of working class Barbadians. Actually, very true. Government voted in by the right to vote. They took down that and never gave any. That was been absorbed in the Freedom Park, and they'll never give. I would have thought if you could have combined that and make that as part of the location, and that would be represent a link with the past, the popular past. But no, that has gone went the same way as they did with the old National Insurance Building. No rationale. No, what was the reason? Why would so the government headquarters came in 1956. The government pretty came in 57, and then government information service came in 1958. All 3 essential institutions. So I suspect that, and that is why to hear that is going, it's also being linked with the geriatric hospital at the back of that. If I hear people who live in that neighborhood have already been given notice that they're going to be removed, they'll be transferred, be relocated. But what information do they have that 50, 60 building that represent, that used to hold, you know what they used to call it? The ministerial buildings. The ministerial buildings. Because at that time,
I remember that,
At that time, the government was so small, it accommodated all the ministries in government.
All the ministries in the government, yes.
Previous to that, the ministries in the early day of cabinet, up to 50, 54, 50 cabinet, the ministerial system of cabinet, those officers were held in the what is now called in the public buildings, which are now called parliament buildings, the public buildings, where they had the ministries, you had the accountant general, I have the colonial secretary, you had the post office, savings bank, all those were accommodated in what we call the public buildings. That got the public buildings. So that government headquarters was the first building, like I said, that represented the new Barbados, the new democratic Barbados that was built. And all the ministries were held there. In fact, they used to call it Adams Castle. It was at that time the tallest building in Bridgetown, except for the public building. So this indigenous building, and all the prime ministers and all the prime minister is the minister of culture also. Now that building would have housed Sir Grant Adam as premier, Hugh Gordon Cummings as premier, and Walton Barr as premier and prime minister. Tom Adams as prime minister, Erskine Sandiford as prime minister.
You forgot one. Not for very long,
Mr. St. John, right?
Very long, yeah.
Right.
St. John.
All the prime ministers occupied that building. I remember as a little boy going to Cornwall, I saw this lovely building, and I said to myself, I would like to work in there one of these days. It's probably one of the loveliest things I've seen in Barbados. And I worked in there twice. So I got my wish. But how I'm trying to see what would motivate a government or cabinet. I would like cabinet was to agree to that, to demolish a building so iconic, in which then any ordinary Barbadians, if you look at the people who become prime minister since the Adams and what, most of them have the working class background. So any Barbadian child can hope to occupy government headquarters too. And there's a lot of heritage in government. I remember when I became Minister of State in Prime Minister's office, I occupied an office on the first floor, down the corner. And after 2 weeks, I discovered the desk I was at was the desk that had belonged to all the previous prime ministers.
Wow.
They put it. And I said, no, this is not right. And I spoke to Prime Minister after, and we swapped desks. I said, nah, this does not belong to me. This says something. I don't know if you like me. I like to watch international conferences, heads of government, and look at the surround, look at the furniture, look at the curtains, look at the artwork that represents their heritage, their built man-made visual culture. That is what government headquarters should represent to us. And therefore, to have somebody seek to turn that into tourism thing, as though we're short of tourism. What at the end of it, what will it do for Barbados that we're not doing now? Everything can't be dollars. There must be something that we can look back and say that we had this before the Republic. Because it seems as though you erased the thing because of the Republic.
Well, I didn't want to say anything, but it seems that the same Kool-Aid that people in the United States have drunk, like some of us in Barbados have drunk it too, where they're trying to eliminate their history. And one of the things about statues and buildings and so on is that it helps us to remember where we've come from, the mistakes we've made, so that what's he saying again, Glenn? People who do not learn from history or something like that are doomed to repeat.
Yeah.
So when you look at these things, because as a young child, I agree with you, growing up, I've passed that building so many times, and I myself have wished to be able to go in there. Of course, I've been in for a number of different reasons. Parliament was the other one, I remember the first day I put my foot in Parliament. I didn't feel like I was going in to watch anything to do with government. I felt like I was walking in a historical moment.
Yeah.
And I must be honest with you, Glenn, I did a tour, a European tour. And when I walked through some of those buildings, it was like walking through a history book,
There you
through some
are.
of those tongues, you know, and looking at the buildings and the structures and you go into the theaters and see the drapes and the architecture and the carvings and all of that. It's what I had read in my history books. And here I am now walking in it. So why would we want to destroy something like that?
But from talking to potential investors with proposals, I always got the feeling it felt it was too good for black people to occupy. Because
Oh,
we used to go on the balcony, particularly Prime Minister Adams on evenings if he's not
yes,
busy, and watch the sunset, and watch the sea,
yes,
and watch the green flash as the sun dipped beneath the thing. Beautiful times. When we talk about development, we would talk development from the same Hilton right down to that same stretch that they're now trying to get off the ground. We talked about those things. So it resonates in your psyche. It makes to watch that sunset in the peaceful evening, the calm sea. It really is very, 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 very therapeutic. So I don't understand, therefore, why you would take that down, but at the same time you would erect Freedom Village, Freedom Park, downtown, brand new, or something in Hero Square, brand new. Why? Why? Who don't have to accumulate their own heritage? But if I could go to the slide 4.
But before you move on, Kaz, you wanted to say something relative to slide 3 before you move on?
I wanted to answer some questions that Glenn asked.
Go ahead.
Why you put the Freedom Park there, not all those buildings? The reason is that they were planning to put a Hyatt across the road. Hyatt would have no front garden. That property there, the fire service, they didn't need to move the fire service. They took the fire service out of Bridgetown. And the first thing that happened after that fire service moved, some people get burned up next door to the fire service. Where the fire service didn't even need a truck. They could have just burned with their hose out that fire. And people died as a result of them moving that thing. And now what they have done, they have gone and get the port to build one inside the port because they realize that you must have a fire station in the city. That is what these people have done. The geriatric hospital that's going to be part of the development. That is supposed to be part of the convention center, and they move it and up on a water table on the zone 1 area. These people care nothing about us. They just pretend to care about people, and that is her words, not mine. You know, that is what's happening, Glenn. Just check it out. That is how they get water from, and they put a hospital on top of it, hoping that nothing happens and water don't leak into the aquifer. But because they want to sell government headquarters and the geriatric hospital, you cannot have a convention center with all the old people there, old Belgian people, old poor sick Belgian people there. I can't even get close to sea because, you know, in the old days, the nurses would take the people down to the sea.
Right, that's right.
I remember. I well remember. Glenn, I'm not as young as you think, you know.
As young as you look.
He's not as young as we think, and he's older than we
not as young as I look. I prefer that one.
Yeah, but Glenn, you know, I don't want to wade into controversies or anything of that nature, but you know,
why not?
I did a little bit of history, and if my mind serves me, because I was not one to subscribe to the removal of the Nelson statue for any reason other. I really wasn't. And the reason I felt that way is this. If it wasn't for his victory at the Battle of Waterloo, we'd be speaking French. Am I not correct?
I don't buy that. I don't buy that argument. History is history. Whatever happened in the past, you judge it. You judge it by the times in which it occurred. You can't look back and try to change the past because with today's thinking about so history is history.
You know, to me, what it did is now when my grandchild goes through Bridgetown and see that statue, she's going to ask me, "Granddad, what does that mean?" I said, "Well, that is the statue of the man who won the Battle of Waterloo, who have helped us to remain an English-speaking country," and I will be able to explain that to her. Okay, I take her through now. I don't even know the meaning of the thing that they got there now. I mean, they could have put Sir Frank. So what was the captain of the West Indies team again?
Frank Warren.
They could have put Sir Frank Worrell there if they wanted to put somebody. I don't want to wade into it, but all I'm saying is these things I see as a part of our history. And you can't erase history by removing objects and that kind of thing. How are you going to do that?
Let me go back to the point Kaz was making about the sea. The Geriatric Hospital gets natural therapeutic value from being next to the sea. That's why it's been there all these years, right? Why do you think Bayview Hospital is the way it is? And why they were saying, one very lame excuse they gave was that they don't want to move the Geriatric Hospital from within the path of a possible tsunami or flooding or sea rising. But the Bayview is also there, right? They've given permission to expand the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. Right. So that was a very
expand with government contribution and with expand with government putting the money into it.
So the whole thing it does not make sense. And therefore I want to go to the next slide at 4, where it talks about Needham's Point, place making, and public realm. It talks about 6 location projects. I have a special interest. In number 4 and 5. You see it? 4 and 5. 4 and 5.
Aquatic gap pedestrianization and Pebbles Beach enhancement.
Right. Those are the 3 I want to talk about. Tell you why. When I was in cabinet, at one time, a proposal came to us from a source who are very long established, who has benefited greatly from being a member of the Barbados Labour Party, has got lock, stock, and barrel. And there was proposal was to block off the road before you turn. As you go into Aquatic Gap, you go past Radisson on your right, and you turn into Pebbles. There was a proposal to block that road off there, so that people have access to the sea easily, and take the road up go further south, basically between the property of the Barbados Labour Power and the property of the Barbados Defence Force. There's a road that takes right back down to all over the hills in Osmo.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
So what they were, and it made me remember Pebble. It made me remember Joe's River. That beach and that access and that road had been used for hundreds of years for people on horses. Even in the days of the British soldiers, when we were deep, because they used that road. So Barbadians come from the Bayland and Chelsea Road, who have used that. And we were being asked to close that road and make people walk further up the hill, then go through a different kind of number in order to satisfy the greed of a capitalist. And I'm wondering if this same proposal is not being resubmitted under this presumption for development. I wonder if that's not being tried. I suspect so, because I don't ever believe in pedestrians, and because now I think they probably see a more favorable environment because the rules have been changed, drastically changed.
Yes.
Right. And the other one is the pedestrian, the Pebbles Beach enhancement. Right. That also refers to that project where people want to expand their facilities onto Pebbles Beach, onto what is now Pebbles Restaurant and etc. That was the idea, and they didn't get it then. So maybe we'll wait to have to see it. We have to see if we get it now. So as it stands, then we have a lot. We have a lot. Where as I like to say, when we discuss that proposal about the nonsensical, almost like heresy, to do that to the Barbarian patrimony, a way of life, and all cultural activities, we lick it up at cabinet. We tore it to pieces and never saw the like of day. I like to think that maybe some of that passion still exists within the Barbados Labour Party.
But Glenn, can I ask? I mean, I don't know if it's a question or a statement, but we're talking about the removal of buildings and so on because of the threat of tsunami. Am I correct? That was one of the reasons given.
Yeah, that's right.
No, but so what's going to happen when you put up the replacements? They're going to be on the threat too.
Precisely, the very same.
And what kind of sense does that? That don't
Yeah.
make sense. When you go all the way down the Hyatt, you realize the Hyatt. If you look at the Hyatt, there's nothing protecting the Hyatt at all from a tsunami. If you go further down toward Pier Head, nothing there. If you go back up even to Hilton, nothing there. So what sense does it make? When you put up another structure, what can happen when you have a tsunami? You got the hotels full of people. What are you going to do?
No, it just came back to me. One of the things that I don't think it's fair to the patients, present and future patients of geriatric hospital to be removed from where they are now to what I call a big, what I call the big cane ground. A fancy name of botanical garden without proper facilities, with facility of another of established botanical gardens in the world. It's just a misnomer. So I'm not impressed by the name. And then you go in agriculture. I'm sure if you have to drive through, I wonder what's going to happen when you drive through Waterford Bottom. Maybe with climate change it would be not bad. But I remember sometimes I go through Waterford Bottom driving 11:30 at night, and the temperature is now at 18 and 19 and 20. Can you remember all the people leaving the warmth and the comfort of the sea and going into and you remember going to, if you ever been to Calypso shows at the stadium, and that wind come across that valley, that bottom, as I say, and cold. How? We're going to each will have an electric blanket or something? Does not make sense. And the rationale for it has not really been fully explained. I don't think it's justified. But before we move on, let's talk about Joe's River.
But before you move on, we are going to have Marcia join us in just a couple of minutes. We'll come back to Joe's River. Don't think we're going anywhere with that, because I was just looking back at the schedule for tonight. But I know that in terms of her coming in, because she's coming in from Combamere, where she's doing some training. Yeah.
Up and on.
So we want to make sure that when she appears, and I think I see her appearing now, we want to make sure we get her in, because we don't know what's going to be happening. You know, sometimes the links and so on give a little bit of trouble. So what we'll do is we'll pull her in for a couple of minutes. Remember your last word. That's what my mother used to say. Remember your last word. And we're going to bring her in from what they would say, Glenn, live at Combamere, or live in the rehearsal. All right, we're going to bring her in.
Live and up and on.
Yes, live and up and on. Good evening, Mrs. Weeks. God bless you and welcome to the Marcia Weeks show.
It's good to be a guest tonight.
You sound a bit different. You sound more relaxed than what now.
Yes.
I miss you all because I'm having fun. I'm in the background and they are getting ready.
Yes? Oh yeah.
Yes.
And, we are all here, and I think I see your granddaughter on the stage.
Yeah, I heard. So you know I'm going to be there. Yeah, you know I'm going to be there.
Can you wave at granddaddy?
Yeah. Yeah, Tiana. Hey.
Say hello to Mark.
Hi guys.
Yes. Pat Thomas is stage manager. Yes, tell them to come down, right? Everybody needs to come down for the show. That's them there. They're all very, very excited. And we're getting everything ready down here at Combamere School. And this is Gregory, and Gregory is our doing our sound, and that's his soundboard there, and he's testing the mic. I hope you can see him.
Yes, we can.
And the board is all there, and so they're hard at work. And again, this is at the Combamere School Hall.
Yeah.
That's where we're at, Combamere, and I know Mr. Franklin is very excited about that.
Yes,
me too.
Glenn too.
Me too. I'm up and on also.
But I am excited too. I am excited too, Marcia. Even though you know they're from down in the rank a little bit, I am excited for them.
You hear jealousy, Glenn?
I know.
Oh, so good to see you.
Yes, it is good to be here too. And I just wanted to take the opportunity to tell people that we're here rehearsing. It's going to be Saturday and Sunday, and we still have rooms for people. And I have our parents here, the Trisha, and she has 3 daughters here at Praise Academy. And so she deals with the front of house, the tickets, and so on. So I'm going to let her say hello to you.
Hello.
Hi, how are
good night.
you? Good
Tell them what
night.
you
Good
do.
to
Tell
see
them what
you.
you do.
Well, I'm first a parent, and for these children, well, all of them working very hard. I am here to support all of them to make sure that they have what they need. I also volunteer because we ask our parents to volunteer in different areas. So I also volunteer with front of house, and we are ready to welcome everybody to come and see what these young people have to offer, what these young people are working so hard to not only glorify God, but to touch everybody who walks through these doors. Yeah, we still have room. Tickets are still going fast. People are reserving their tickets. We want to remind people that even though it is a free event, you're still going to have to reserve your ticket. If you find yourself unable to print your tickets when you reserve them, your name, just make sure, once you reserve your ticket, your name will be at the door. You just have to give your name. But we want everybody to reserve their tickets so that we don't end up with people not being able to get into the hall to be able to see what is going on.
What time do you want them seated by?
I need those persons who have reserved tickets to be seated by 6:15 p.m. and no later. The show starts at 6:30. Our doors open at 5:30 p.m. and we will be ready to welcome everybody. We want everybody to come out and just enjoy everything that these young people have to offer.
Yes. And I thought I would just kind of let the world see Mr. Franklin, all the awards that you guys have here, and grudgingly showing everybody all the awards that you have. Look down here. Let me see if the cup is here. You guys, where's the last one that you all won? It's probably not here. You had 2. They're probably not here. But these are all the awards that they have there. I hope that you were able to see it. But folks, we really want you to come to see what the children are doing. And this is my heart working with the young people. And I think that it is important that they're supported. This is a story of God's love and redemption. And we're inviting everybody to come down and have some fun. It's going to be quite exciting. All right. So I will let you go back to the regularly scheduled company.
Well, it was so nice having you just jump in with us. Glenn was waxing very strong, but we knew that there was something that you had to share with us, and we are really appreciative. We're going to be looking forward to that show this weekend, right? This coming weekend. Dave,
Yes.
can you put that flyer back up again for us? I just had up the page, and for those of you who are in the chat, the link is actually there to go straight to go to the page where you can get your tickets. The admission is free. There's no charge to the admission to the show. It's this coming Saturday, April the 13th, Sunday, April the 14th, beginning at 6:30 at the Combermere School Hall. And we're looking forward. Tickets are going quickly. Space is limited. So first comes, first serve. So make sure you click on the link. If you need that, you can always send a message to 236-7000, and they will send you the link so that you can take that link and you can go straight into the website and you can register for your tickets. All right. So Thank you so much, Marcia. We really appreciate you coming in with all the young people. Great to see you. I feel a little envious because you're among all the young people, and I have to be here with anyhow. Don't let me say anymore.
Bye, guys. See you tomorrow.
Goodbye. Have fun. Take care. Bye.
Oh my goodness! I
Yeah.
could take that chance with you and you and Glenn Castle.
But John, did your brother John go to come here too, Purdy?
Yeah, he made that mistake as well too.
He's all right. He's all right. I was just for the record, the facilities that Marcy and her group are enjoying at Cormier were put in place in 1981 by Tom Adams.
Wow.
Where we had Carrie Fest. He felt that there should be there should be some Queen's Park steel shade. That's part of the legacy of 81. And it has decent rooms and curtains. It's a mini theater actually.
Yeah, it is.
And this will probably get to you too jealous that Marcy and her troop with me walking in my footsteps because I had the honor of performing that stage on a number of occasions when I was in Celebrity Calypso Taint, and I dance and perform all over that stage. So it's a world class. I had to make it a world class stage.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, you see, there again, we're looking at our heritage,
right?
We're looking at our heritage, and it's unfortunate, that people don't value some of these things. And you mentioned a word just now, Glenn, and it makes me wonder if that's why we are not if that's why we are seeing what we are seeing, so that the individual can leave a legacy.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying?
Of course. And I saw signs of this already elsewhere. I'm not sure if I should take it or not. No, I'll leave that for another case.
No, leave that for another time.
I want to talk, the piece more I want to talk about George River is that I think, judging by what we saw even in the newspaper yesterday,
yes,
terrific coverage. It means that this show has helped on the George River personnel and the people and their spirit and their activism have helped to put this issue squarely on the national scene and map and consciousness. And I feel that things must be consciously done to sustain it and take it and don't let it run away or be ignored. And I'd like to suggest that the Barbados Labour Party is going to be having a big event there on Sunday, Monday 29th, their annual Founders Day picnic in honor of Granny Adams, who represented St. Joseph in the House of Assembly for many years. And I would like to think that it would make good sense for the people of the George River support group and all the adherents, all people who seek to preserve their heritage and their culture in that area, that they put on their white t-shirts, not bow hair, and go to the public event being put on on East Coast Road, walk through, listen, observe. Right now, but it's open to it's not in the same way the BLPs will have on their red shirts. You can wear your red shirt to it is your country, it's your territory. Let them be seen. They're not coming to you to account for their action. You go to them and let them be account. And maybe it will drive somebody to make some comment, particularly the Prime Minister, if the persons are seen suitably attired with a not about hair, George River t-shirts, etc. I think that's an excellent God-given opportunity to go as individuals or go one or two together. You're not demonstrating, you're not no placards. You are the living embodiment of your protest. No placard can represent what you as an individual person from George River represent.
Yes.
And therefore I think that will tell a story that no one else can. So I think keep the battle up. It's not lost yet because there's always room for abandonment, revision, adjustment, whatever. And we'll see what happens as the process continues.
But we've seen that begin to happen, Glenn, with the development coming down into Bridgetown by the Costa Mannings and all around those buildings. If my mind serves me correctly, I thought I heard or saw a review and a revamping of the plans,
Right.
in terms of what was going to happen there. Because I know a young lady that had a business in one of those buildings there, by the bridge, where the taxis used to park. And they removed all of them, no compensation, no explanations, no nothing. And she has lost her business as a result of that. And so I heard, I think I'm correct in terms of what I
Yeah.
heard. I heard that they're reviewing and considering some changes and so on. And I personally believe it has come out of this show, Glenn. I really do.
But apart from, I understand they've dropped the idea of a marina.
Yes, I understand that has been dropped.
And some other facilities.
Yes,
And this reminds me again, speaking of Prime Minister Adams, the fault with the development of Bridgetown really has to rest in the heart, not the government, not the political parties that really have driven the development of Barbados, not the private sector. The political parties have given the facilities, have given the concessions, made it possible for this to happen. But the problem, the Barbados private sector represents what, to me, represents what Napoleon once said of the English. And it has not, the English have never forgiven the French or Napoleon for it. He wants to describe the English as a nation of shopkeepers. And if you look at the Barbados private sector, that's the reason why we've lost the cost of Malin. Malin Wilkinson have, Malin Wilkinson, R.T. Herbert, all those, the cost and everything, all those things which you thought were going to be wrong forever have gone because they have not they have not risen and changed with the times. They were basically happy importing and selling, buying and selling. No imagination. So therefore, when more aggressive persons come into the country, something you have to hold them back, like how the Trinidadians have not come in and bring their Trinidad British culture. And they eating up the Barbadian indigenous, or what used to be indigenous facilities and businesses for, the money is going out to Barbados. And the private sector can only blame itself. It had many, many opportunities to cooperate with government. I would think 10, 15 years went by over which government was trying, certainly the BLP was trying to convince the private sector to turn some of those buildings, they were worshiping their warehouse buildings on the sea, on prime real estate. And it reminded me when I lived in Toronto back in the 60s, 70s, I saw Toronto waterfront transform from old warehouses into what it is now. Music centers, shopping, restaurants, and lively. And the same thing could have happened on Bridgetown indigenously. But now we have to depend on the private sector from abroad to come do it for us in their way, and the profits will obviously have, we will just get the pittance, and our society will be changed. I have no idea what Bridgetown is intended to look like in the future. I have not seen enough of the proposals to see how much of the old Barbados, not traditional heritage Barbados, will be represented in this new look Barbados, or whether it be skyscrapers and glass and concrete, and the whole, like a mini Miami, and the whole essential nature of Bridgetown, and what Barbados is as a distinctive, Bridgetown, a distinctive destination, a distinctive point of reference, will go a begging to the hammers and saws of the developers. And I'm glad to see the changes made, because I remember it being described what was going to take place with Bridgetown when this thing starts, is that it was said it's going to be development on steroids. Or it's going to be Lime Grove. Remember Lime Grove? Lime Grove and steroids, which tells you the kind of perspective and the image and the clientele they have in that point of view.
Well, Glenn, I'll tell you the honest truth. I really appreciate, and I'm sure everyone on this show has appreciated what you've shared with us tonight. We are prepping for Kemar to come in. Don't run anywhere. Kemar will be coming in to talk about this sargassum weed machine and some other things. But just as we bring this part of the program to a conclusion, isn't Bridgetown designated a World Heritage Site? And if so, what qualifies it to be a World Heritage Site? What has to be done for it to maintain that status or to obtain and sustain that status? And I doubt it will mean a lime grove type development, because that's not heritage. That doesn't represent heritage. Just my small point of view and small input.
A very important observation. They have to be careful that they do not do anything to injure. But there's certain criteria. It's a long process. I remember, I think it's finally culminated in 2011, but it started long before 2011 when we were in government. Remember, Billy Miller was driving the process, and it only finally came to head in 2011. But you have to meet a lot of serious criteria and maintain these aspects to be able to retain the designation of UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's supposed to, and I don't think we've done enough to monetize it. I've never seen a T-shirt yet, Bridgetown World Heritage. I've never seen anything done or heard that sought to develop that designation and make money from it. No.
Yeah, that went through my mind, because then you have a potential tourist attraction in terms of being designated as a World Heritage Site. I mean, people from all over the world would come just to see that, to be in that.
And one last comment is that when this was being proposed and when the virtues and the benefits of that designation were being promoted, it said one of the benefits that the records show that once you are designated a World Heritage, UNESCO World Heritage Site, your tourism improves by about 40%.
Wow.
But that is yet to happen in Barbados. We have not really used it to our advantage and exploited it fully.
Well, I tell you, I really hope and pray that as I'm not against the development. I'm praying that they can maintain the atmosphere, the look, if you know what I mean. You can put in all the modern amenities into the buildings and so forth, but to maintain that kind of heritage view, where you could say, well, over that building is where they used to hold the slaves when the boats arrived, and those kind of things, and add the modern amenities on the interiors and so forth, even leave some of the things that maybe some of the, I don't know if they carry those chains, in different parts and so forth. I'm interested to see what they're going to do.
Do you know that in 4 years' time, Bridgetown is going to be celebrating its 400th anniversary?
Wow. No, I really didn't realize that.
1628.
Wow.
1628.
400 years.
And Barbados has always been, you're talking Barbados quenching above it. Barbados at one time in the 18th century, when we produced so much sugar for England that we were called the fairest jewel in the crown of England, because we had to generate more wealth than all the other colonies put together. Barbados was the shopping capital of the region. People have come by boat to Barbados. You could get silk and perfume and whiskies and all the funny wines in Barbados that you get in Rome or Paris or London. Barbados was that. Well, our geographical position has meant a lot to us and can continue to mean a lot to us if we exploit it, distinctiveness of our location, right? And there's still a lot of potential, but ideas run the world and people have to have imagination.
I well recall when I was an immigration officer, we had people flying in from Trinidad on small planes for the day to shop.
Right, that's right.
I remember that. I became an immigration officer on the 2nd of January 1980.
Okay.
So it isn't something that going so way back. It was just recent, because 1980 it was recent. People were coming and shopping here. Now, I took my business time to go and check prices in Trinidad and compare them with the prices here. Trinidad's price is about a third of what we have here in Barbados for the same item.
Yeah. But don't forget, it takes three Barbados dollars, $3 Trinidad to make a Barbados dollar.
Yeah, but I'm talking about if it costs $1 in Barbados, it costs 33 cents in Trinidad. So you understand what I'm talking about. Our prices are, mind you. Today, somebody sent me a WhatsApp thing saying that Barbados is the second on the list of the most expensive places in the world. you know, I think if they rob Barbados of the title, we should be first.
Wow, wow, wow. Well, I tell you know, I tell you, I've been going between here and Cayman Islands for the last 17 to 19 years, and I used to hear Cayman was very expensive. But I've lived there for a few months at a time, and I can tell you there are some prices in Grand Cayman and some of the normal food prices that are less expensive than Barbados, and some of the hotel costs that are less expensive than Barbados. But anyhow, we leave that as a subject for another time, Glenn. Huh? But don't write anywhere, Glenn. Listen, Glenn, thanks so very much.
You're welcome.
We want to try to grab Kmart in, and don't go anywhere because we want to have some discussion concerning a lot of the things that he may be sharing, and of course we haven't heard a lot from you tonight yet, Caswell. So we still have some time left. But Glenn, I just want to thank you. My goodness, I mean, wow. Really appreciate all that
You're welcome.
Education. It's an education sitting and listening to you guys show after show. Absolute education. I'm sure the people
don't go, Glenn, because they want you to help me when they come on.
Yes, don't go anywhere, Glenn.
I'm at your disposal.
Let's welcome Mr. Stewart. Let me try to bring him in tonight. I'm sure everyone has been anticipating his arrival and presence. Good evening, Mr. Kemar Stewart. So good to have you. We welcome you to the show tonight. God bless you.
Where you find that our seaweed machine came out? Yes,
I don't know, but I tell you, he must be a private detective.
I just love him,
oh my Lord!
Boy,
I tell you.
To be honest, I can be very honest. But first, let me say good evening to you as well, Pastor Ferdinand, Mr. Murray, and all of the members of the Loyal Opposition. Good to be with you yet another Wednesday. Good night, good night, good night.
Good night.
No,
good
welcome.
Night. Welcome.
Good to have you too.
Good night, Kemar.
Yes, so let me say that I did not go to Concept Bay looking for any seaweed harvester. Let me say that. Right? I was going to Concept Bay really and truly to look at another issue that somebody brought to my attention, which was the slipway that the government was building to haul up the boats or whatever. They messed it up obviously, so they had to abandon it and wasting taxpayers' money and the people's boats can't even get hauled up anymore because of the madness that they did down there. And one of the residents called in the media on them because they had galvanized blocking out the sea. A person's gonna even get the boats hauled up. And they went up there sometime this week and knocked on the galvanized. So you can hear me well?
Yeah, we have a little background noise with you. I'm not sure where it's coming from, but we're hearing you good.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're near the sea.
The music.
He come and
Glenn, I know that can't be possible because I think he lives in St. George, and St. George ain't got no beach. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm not at Concept Bay right now, so those are not the waves that you're hearing, right? I left that side of the world and in Bridgetown, but
okay.
Yeah, so they have the thing, so they're not only galvanized and so I was just there sightseeing, enjoying the view, the lovely breeze, St. John. We bought some fish, some dolphin, but we wanted to fry and just being a tourist. And I went across the jetty, the jetty, the board is kind of broken up, wrong or whatever. And it was just like, this is such a beautiful place. I would love if we can have, here develop. They fix the jetties in Stone. They fix jetties all over the place. So I was wondering, well, how can they never fix the jetty at Concept Bay? Right? Such a lovely, lovely place. And I was like, well, how can they never did? And when they went to the building in front, which is the market, and I was checking out the market because I know he was trying to determine what fish we want to buy. And I noticed that my good friend, Dr. Dennis Law, had a big plaque on the wall celebrating World Environment Day. And it had a lot of historical facts. So I was reading the facts and everything, and just there, I said, being normal, usual self, and I ended up in a conversation with some of the fishermen and some of the people around. And lo and behold, I bump up on this thing just walking. This big orange thing right there standing in front of me. And I was like, wait, what's this? And I said, why does it look so familiar? Right? And I said to myself, I wonder what does look like that seaweed harvester, you know? And somebody was there saying, yes, this is where they hide it. It was down here for months now. And they were not doing anything with it. The last time that they did anything with the seaweed harvester, it was a couple of months ago when they took the BDF out to sea and they were using it up there. And the sea took the machine and almost tossed the soldiers up on the head. And it was rough. So the soldiers parted and said, no, you see that? We ain't working out no more. And it was down concept there for a lot of time. Right? So I went back up there today because the ministers turned up there, Kurt Humphrey turned up, Charles Griffith turned up. Charles Griffith, who's the representative for St. John, the people told me that he don't come down there. Don't be seen. But today he was down concert, at this press conference, whatever, and they're saying to the people that the reason that the seaweed machine, and Kazo, you can remember me, this seaweed machine has been missing for so long now, right? They destroyed the Blue Economy Ministry, and it was missing all of that time, and nobody could find this seaweed machine. But Lord, hold the seaweed machine down, concept there, catching rust, and Kurt Humphrey, who is well, I don't even know why he was there because he's the minister of people in the Palmer, but still he was at the fish market today. Right?
He's a former minister of the Blue Economy or whatnot. That's like, yeah, he had that a role in his first appointment.
Yes, but he's not the substantive minister now, right? And therefore he should have not been there. The person who should have been doing the speaking on the topic should have been Charles Griffith,
of course,
who is the acting minister of the environment and blue economy and green economy. But he wasn't doing the speaking. Kurt Humphrey said that the reason that the seaweed machine is down was because they wanted parts.
Right, I heard that.
What parts? Because the Japanese government gave Barbados $2.something million to buy equipment to help tackle that seaweed problem. And I know let me substantiate some of the things that I'm saying. The Japanese government. Look at the videos here. Right? You playing the video, Dave? Yes, Barbadians. I am here standing next to the infamous and missing seaweed machine by the Ministry of Blue Economy under Minister Kurt Humphrey. Now this seaweed machine was supposed to, take care of all the seaweed at the beaches of Barbados. As you can see, the beaches of Barbados are still flooded with seaweed, and the seaweed machine, as you can see, is here rotting away because the Barbadian taxpayers have money to waste. So therefore, the seaweed machine is at Concept Bay in St. John, hiding away from everybody's eyesight. But we found it today. So, government of Barbados needs to tell us why they wasted the people's money and buying a seaweed machine, and they hide it down at Concept Bay in St. John and is here rotting away. People, just look at it, wasting your taxpayer dollars. Yes.
Oh dear.
Right, you brought them out, not one but two ministers to that fight. I suspect the reason why Kurt, Minister Humphrey, might have been doing the Buffalo talk. He's probably regarded as a smoother presenter and a more articulate presenter than the. I suspect that was the reason behind it. He's supposed to be one of the stars of the government, so therefore let him do the starring role.
Well, we still need an account for that for that CV program money because the government established in 2018 a national CV plan, right?
Right.
The government had a set program which targeted the CV, right?
I remember that too.
The government bought the CV harvester for $300,000, right? For
That's
$300,000.
US or Barbados?
Well, I can't. Let me. I think. Well, I sure. Let me fact check that. But the value of it was $300,000, right? You bought this machine. You brought it in to Barbados, right? I want to show you the machine, but I want to also show you some other stuff as well too, right? But you bought in this machine because I want to show you. Put the machine right up here that you can see what we are talking about, right? The machine is down there rotting and wasting. You just got a grant from the Japanese government, right? Well, not really, but let me put it right here that you can grasp. It's coming out right now. They were given $2 million. Adrian Ford, medic. Can you see it clearly?
Not saying
Right.
anything.
Caribbean CV project gets boost from Japan.
We not seen anything yet.
You need to add my screen to the if you're the controller.
You can't share your screen?
Well, I'm trying to share it, but
On the present. You go to present and share screen.
right. I pressed that just now, but it is bringing me all like if you were in the guest room, as though you were in the guest room.
All right, Dave. I have to refer to Dave on that one. Dave, you're gonna have to help me out with that. Let me
Look next to this where it says you're in the show. If you click on the window you see there, you will click add to screen. Right.
Okay,
Thank you.
that's it.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, right, good. Yeah, got it. Thank
Right.
you.
So there you see it. It says SEAWEED Caribbean SEAWEED project gets boost from Japan. Correct?
Right.
And there you see our Minister of Environment, the substantive minister, not the acting minister, Adrian Medic Ford. Right. And it says here Barbados is one of 5 Caribbean countries to benefit from 2 million each in equipment in aid to battle against sargassum seaweed. This was made possible under a US 12 million 3-year grant aid program entitled the Project for Improving National Sargassum Management Capacities in the Caribbean, being funded by the government of Japan and executed by the United Nations Development Program. Today, the official signing between Japan and the UNDP took place at UN House today. Speaking during the event on behalf of Barbados and other recipient countries, Minister of Environment and National Beautification Adrian Ford thanked Japan for the gesture as he welcomed any intervention to assist Barbados and its Caribbean neighbors in the fight against the sargassum seaweed. That has been our challenge over the last couple of years with an abnormal influx of sargassum due to the vagaries of climate change. He said the presence of the algae also created problems for marine life and the country's biodiversity. Right. So basically, it says here that the equipment, and it's given a list of the equipment here. It says that the equipment would include an aquatic conveyor belt, workboats, barges, machine surface, beach rigs, walk behind beach surface rigs, lightweight tractors, dump trucks, float booms, and barriers. And the equipment is set to cost US $2 million per country. And the countries that received this equipment was Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and St. Lucia. Right? So you see already that we need some transparency already. Right? Because that program, that CB program, as soon as they bought that machine, I wasn't hearing anything more about it. Right? You weren't hearing anything about the work that it was doing. I saw an article here that the BDF, right? That the BDF, and I'm gonna put that one up for you to see, was really and truly the ones who were running the program. So you didn't have to look for a lot of labor, right? You didn't have to look for a lot of labor if the BDF were the ones who were managing the CV machine. So where is all of the equipment that was donated and this $2 million grant that we got from the UNDP and the Japanese government? Because we hardly heard anything about this. I look at the state of the seaweed industry. They claim, right, that they were gonna bring in the seaweed and we were gonna sell it for foreign exchange. How much seaweed did we sell so far? How much foreign exchange did we get from such seaweed? These are things that they say to us, right? But when you go down Concept Bay, just look at what we saw. Pastor Ferdinand is gone again. Right. Yes. So there you have it. Here you can see a picture of, this is an article. It says soaking up sargassum. New harvester goes into operation. So this is what they've got for the $300,000, right? And Mr. Murray and Castle, you can clearly see that those are BDS soldiers on there, right?
Right, that's right. Looks like it to me, yeah.
Good. So you didn't have to look for the labor to be able to fund the program. Right? So it says here, it's that time of year when Barbados must not only be on guard for the weather, but look on to an annual challenge among island shores, sargassum CB. Now the Ministry of Maritime Affairs and Blue Economy is spearheading the cause with a multi-department alliance. In a carefully mapped out test involving the Barbados Coast Guard, the Barbados Agricultural Development Management Company, the Ministry of Transport, members of the Barbados Water Authority, and the Fisheries Division of the Maritime Affairs Ministry, a sargassum harvester was put into a successful field test at Concept Bay in St. John early on the morning of July 9th, 2020. And it says here that Humphrey likened the harvester to a large vessel that would allow persons to remove the algae straight off the sea. He explained how the conveyor belt would be used, extract the seaweed, transfer it to the shore, whatever. And he explained that, and this answers your question, though, as well, that the government spent close to Barbados $300,000 acquiring the sargassum harvester, along with a tractor and a conveyor. But if you read, Caswell, what was given to the government of Barbados by the Japanese gave us a conveyor too. So we should have had two of them, or we should have had more equipment than what was laying down there at Concept Bay. Right?
Kimmer, I just, while you were talking, I went and searched, and I got a CBC report where the minister Humphrey himself said that machine was not supposed to be used on the East Coast because of what's going on out there, and they were going to use manual things for the East Coast, but they're going to use it for the South and West. So when they went out, and I think you said something to the fact that they tried doing it, it's out there, and the sea overtook them. Not my word, not yours.
Yeah.
But it was never intended to be used out there because they foresaw that problem and still did it.
Yeah.
No,
Kima, what I'm wondering is, you mentioned 4 or 5 other countries who benefited from this program, Trinidad, St. Lucia. It would be interesting to find out what is the history of the utilization of that machinery, equipment, and money in those countries as against the non-performance in Barbados.
Well, that is something very interesting to check out, Mr. Murray, because based off what's happening in Barbados, I do not like almost every other day I have to come and say corruption. I mean, I get tired now. I mean, it's some type of scandalous behavior. So I could bet you if we compare what happened in those other places, who probably tackling their sargassum problem much better than Barbados compared to what's happening here. How is it, Mr. Murray, that the sole piece of equipment that you bought for $300,000 and Kurt Humphrey said today, these are not because Kurt Humphrey's words, that it want parts, it don't quite want repairing.
It was waiting for parts, yeah.
How you could be waiting for parts when the Japanese donate almost every single nut and bolt to have this is not the same thing that the Japanese donated, right? The government bought something for $300,000 and then you got a US $2 million grant and equipment and other stuff from the Japanese. So this is not. So I'm saying here, right, that the Minister of Environment, right, whenever the Minister of Environment before it comes back to Barbados, we should be standing at the airport waiting on him to come through the departure gate and asking him to account for this, right? Because that harvester went missing for so long, right? Just look at the beaches around Barbados. You see the seaweed moving anywhere or going anywhere, right? No, because they took our resources, right? I was interesting, right? I checked the estimates of 2020 to 2021 Barbados. No account whatsoever for a government seaweed program. I checked 2019 to 2020. No account for a seaweed program, but they mentioned it only in the strategic goals. But they had no line items whatsoever in the estimates of Barbados to account for a seaweed program. Right? There's none. So although they rolled out a seaweed program, ask them to account for it. Ask them to show you any line items which they have item for item expenditure about the seaweed program. They can't produce it because they don't have it. Right? I'll give them this bit of leverage here now. I have to check the estimates now of 2018 when the first got the government in that first year. And then that would completely tell me if they had any line item, period, at all. Right? That would tell me. Because I checked just now. Right? And there was none. So if you could be running a program like this off the books, you're spending taxpayers' money that end up wasting, because look where the machine is on the ground. Right? Are you saying Kurt Humphrey from all down from running his ministry, elder affairs, having to care for the elderly, to come all up St. John to deal with a ministry that he left 2.5 years ago, right? So he made the point about politicizing fisheries, but that is exactly what he did. Made it an entire political debacle when the issues are really and truly at the government, as well, because they messed up all the concept there. But you know what they're not telling us, right? Because you saw in the video on CBC that they brought this big development plan, this big sheet of paper speaking of development issues. Ask them who has the contract to build the jetty or to repair the jetty at Concept Bay. Ask them, right?
You better tell me, because the man can tell you.
The same man, right, who was the benefactor of the whole project.
You're back in sport.
Oh. Yeah.
The same man that continues to be You know, people flying around his private jet. Who has the contract to repair the jetty at Concept Bay?
At
Right? But
what
they're not going to
cost?
tell you about that.
At what cost?
They're not going to tell you about that.
Like I said, information starvation. It's like Gaza. No information, food. Little or nothing you get. But on scraps, then all kind of rumors and things start up, but nobody thinks they have the commitment, the responsibility to come to the public and tell them what the public wants to hear instead of what they want them to hear, when and how. Disgraceful.
Before you take Kimar, I just want to put this in the mix too, because this is doing with CB, this is doing with the Ministry of the Environment. It seems to have a problem with parts because the Sanitation Service Authority is renting a tractor at $15,000 a week or something like that to push back the garbage because their own tractor want parts. So it seems as though the Ministry of Environment can't find parts. And now the CB machine, you can't get parts. Somebody ministry, maybe should have a special envoy for parts. You know, there's always quite a lot of people up there. So, you know.
No, what you need, Caswell, is a consultant. You need a consultant for.
Yeah, be special envoy for somebody.
You need a consultant. It's kind of stupid to even think it, because if it's a Caterpillar, you know, parts should be accessible. I mean, look at Cuba. Anybody ever looked at Cuba, seen some of the vehicles down there?
Of course, I read it 2 or 3 times.
Don't tell me that you can't get parts, man. If it's a John Deere, you can get parts.
Or you make them yourself.
Yeah, or you create them. I mean, that's, Glenn, you know, back in the old days when my father was working in the sugar industry, most of the things that they use in the factories, they created themselves.
That's you had the foundries, foundries.
The foundry.
And they made all kind of stuff at the factories themselves. In fact, I remember in St. George, it was said, rumor had it, the folklore was that during the crop is when guns were made
Andrews.
the one here, no, the one next to me.
Buckley.
Buckley, yeah, that was it.
Thank you for making the correction. Cause my father was the overseer Andrews. I don't know what it was.
Sorry, it was Buckley. You know, there's some guns up there. You know?
And you see about crops. He's never go to the fence in Ellerton and whatnot.
It's a poor excuse. You know, it really wrecks the mismanagement, and you know it's horrible.
Many years ago, around 1969, the book came out in 1969. A book called The Gang That Could Not Shoot Straight. The Gang That Could Not Shoot Straight, written by a man called Jimmy Breslin, who was an excellent reporter, also wrote fiction. It even became a movie. It really was a spoof on the mafia. You had this mafia gang that couldn't pull off a robbery, couldn't thief anything, and that reminds me of this gang. Cannot get any right and straight. Gang that, anytime you see that movie, watch it, or you'll find the book, The Gang That Cannot Shoot Straight, and you will laugh your head off. Bungle after bungle after bungle.
Glenn, the one that remind me of is the Calypso about Chambers. The driver can't drive.
Driver can't drive. Okay.
You know, somebody here is saying, let me put it up on the screen. Somebody here is saying that we have skilled fabricators and welders in this country. Look how much work is done on rally cars. I mean, guys fabricate stuff in this country like nobody's business. You know, so it's a poor excuse. Let's be brutally frank. Kimar, what is the cost of something like that sitting? I mean, somebody should calculate the cost. You said it's 4 years?
4 years for what?
4 years that it was sitting unused, waiting for parts. Is it 4 years?
Well, not 4 years, but you're saying the reason it's not working, right? Because it was first rolled out in 2020. Right? Since the year of 2020, the Ministry of the Economy was shut down soon after, right?
Right.
So when the ministry was shut down, you didn't hear anything about it since then. So you're correct. Well, 4 years, right? And since that time, they got a grant from the Japanese. And that grant included massive pieces of equipment, SEAWEED equipment, conveyors. So they had 2 conveyors So they had more than enough equipment. You can't see the equipment that the Japanese donated, and the 300,000 thing, it just there rusting past it further.
I well remember the big hullabaloo that was made when that equipment arrival was presented. You heard all kind of grand promises. They were going to turn it. They're going to turn it a virtual seaweed conversion and processing industry.
Yes,
made all kind of stuff. It was a big thing. So how do you go from such a big thing to nothing? Unless it was only a hoax.
Wasn't it supposed to produce fuel or something like that?
Two things. I want to get a little education moment, but I also wanted to say something before it slips me. Do you know there's this mini crane like pulley, right? That tugs the boats out of the water, right? The government of Barbados has one. So the excuse again is parks, right? What the government did or is doing to the fishermen up there, right, is to say, well, the little mini crane is working, so we can't pull up your boat. If you want to get your boat pulling, you go around to the Bridgetown port. And you now have to pay a private crane, $1,100 to get your boat hauled up versus the $8 or the $20. If you have a small boat, $8. If you have a bigger boat, $20 to get your boat hauled up at Concept Bay. Right? So they talking about all the love they have for fishermen, right? Our purpose, and this is the article as well as point about equipment. That crane, that mini crane, is a specific name beginning with T. I can't remember it, but that mini crane that pulls up the boats out the water, because they messed up, they slip away, wasted all the thing that they can't get the boats. Only the little small boats could come in, right? And the little mini crane, as I said, they won't order the parts, so won't get it fixed, so won't do nothing. And they're now having fishermen who live all in St. John and maybe shortly in St. Philip, having to go all around on these little small boats to Bridgetown to then pay $1,100 to get hauled up, right? But this was on top of the fact that the government were saying to people that they're in partnership with the University of the West Indies. We're going to get the sargassum seaweed to produce biofuel.
Right.
And there was this entrepreneur who was going to take the seaweed and help. They were going to cut energy costs for Barbadians in half. Y'all remember that? They said that they were going to cut energy costs in Barbados in half by getting the sargassum seaweed and allowing the university in partnership with an entrepreneur to help develop biofuel, because when the sargassum dries down, it has biofuel in it, and you can burn that for gas. That is what they promised us, you know. So all of those structures supposed to be still in place. So we need to ask, how much money was borrowed under the name of climate change and under the name of Ministry of Environment and thing, economy? How much money was really borrowed to tackle this seaweed program? Because as we can see, the seaweed program is in a deplorable state, right? And there's no accountability. Y'all can go and read all of these estimates and tell me where you see in any of them a line item for the seaweed program. Like I said, read 2019 and 2020, 2020 and 2021. And those were the 2 years that plus 28. I didn't read 2018, but I say once I check that one and then verify, then I can say total and complete corruption.
You said it was for biogas as well?
Yes.
I know. Understand why they stopped using that, because they were generating too much at Lester Vaughan. All that biogas, that was making the teachers a bit sick. So they had enough biogas, so they didn't want any more sargassum biogas. Had enough. Putting the people back in that environment.
You see, this testing. Is Glenn Caswell, Kimar. This is why people don't like this show, because we are exposing things that are supposed to be transparent. We're exposing things that people are supposed to give an account about. And rather than getting an attitude, as I said at the beginning of this show tonight, and I mean, Glenn, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I would think that rather than getting a bombastic, aggressive attitude, simply come and explain to the people of Barbados, if you've screwed up, then come and admit it, and people will be considerably more accommodating. But when you ignore the questions being raised, I mean, go ahead, Glenn.
No, I often smile, Riley, when the Moses government has said, we don't always get it right. And when we don't get it, we don't get it. But they never said we're wrong, we're sorry. So we don't always say we don't always get it right. That is the idea of a wrong. We're trying to apologize. They don't say, I'm sorry, you made it wrong, but still, let me make the point. Let me finish the point. I laugh when I hear that when they are saying that they're still calling now, 6 years later, for the DLP to apologize for all the wrongs it did between 2008 to 2010. But they themselves don't have the humility, the sense of commitment, the openness, the transparency, though they talk about freedom of information, like etc., to even say, we are wrong, we made a mistake, we are sorry. He said, we don't always get it right. So that is the way I'm saying we may get wrong most of the time.
I have to object because they said they don't always get it right. They have never gotten it right. Check everything that they have done so far. Let me pull that back. Sorry. The only thing they didn't right that they didn't have to pull back was the salaries order for them. That went through smooth. Nothing didn't have to change anything about that. That's the only thing that went through right. Everything else had to be changed. I remember Senator Tate back in 2018 when she discovered the problem with the Water Authority Amendment Act. She highlighted it and they said to her, look, we're going to let it pass and we're going to come back and fix it in a couple of months. It didn't fix yet. Up to now, it didn't fix yet. Senator highlighted it and it has not been fixed since 2018. They don't get, unless, well, they didn't have Marcy Week Shaw in those days, so they didn't have nobody else to keep pushing it. So they don't get right. They have never gotten it right. Everything that they have done so far, even the estimates, they got that wrong too, because within days they can get a supplementary. They don't get it right.
I have to invoke his name again. One of the principles, the two principles Prime Minister Arthur used to impress on us, always seek clarity of purpose and certainty of outcome. Clarity of purpose and certainty of outcome.
And certainty of outcome.
You used to drill that into our heads. Are the tenets of some of the tenets of good governance. Always be clear of your clear for your purpose and what you want to be outcome. And don't just make it up as you go along. And everything works right sometimes. I think part of the problem is that I think I've mentioned on the show before is that in order to prove that they are with it and they're trendy and they're hanging out with the rest of the world and what, they have incorporated some of these chaos theory. There's actually a discipline called chaos theory, where you go in and do things and don't worry about the outcome, don't worry about the consequence, just whatever happens, chaos will ensue, and then you're trying to make something of that, but you're not seeking for any particular outcome. Just going to do things. Or they say, Mark Zuckerberg, his name is, his mantra is Zuckerberg. His mantra is move fast and break things. So that's to prove that you are trendy. That is why they turn all the inbuilt checks and balances into our administrative system in the civil service. They say, oh, that's old-fashioned, colonial. That's a humbug. That's a delay, because they don't want to spend the time, sit down and plan carefully what the likely outcomes and get it as right as possible. You can always come back and do it again, because chaos is chaos. That's natural. It's amazing. And you have one or two CEOs at government statutory corporation believing in that and dressing it. They're going to work in a blazer, pair of jeans and sneakers and white glasses and brown glasses like Mark Zuckerberg. Foolishness. And then they want to talk, we do say colonial. What could be more colonial than what they're doing now? They said the colonialism is coming from North America.
Been coming from North America for a long time. Long time. You know, it must be stunning for people to hear all of this. I mean, Glenn, this is Caswell, Kmart, this is incredible.
This is I'm the oldest person on the team who's been watching politics since 1951 closely. This is the worst performing government in the history of Barbados. Worst ever. They don't seem to have any preconceived, no plan, no policy, no strategy. They just ad hocism. You make mistakes, so what? Spend some money, do it over again. That's I've never seen repeated, and it is going on now since 2018. It can't be an accident. It has to be a trend. It has to be a pattern of thinking and behavior. It seems that those confused mind conceive ideas, and then you add further confusion by trying to execute them in the way they were conceived. It is pathetic, and it goes against Barbados was known as Barbados was once described the best governed black country in the world. Barbados was known for its high quality administration. Even the 18th century, when we at one time administered Tobago, because even the colonials, they always brought certain systems that worked well for us. We never had a commission of inquiry into Barbados' expenditure yet. Never. High standards of governance and accountability, money management. That's why you were able to do so much of our own. And I think one of the benefits of colonialism was that Barbados had what was known the lowest rate of absentee lordism. In other words, more people who own plantations than Barbados lived in Barbados and plowed them with the money back into Barbados and saw themselves in Barbados and developing Barbados. So that's why we were always seen as a leading country in the Caribbean, even back then, because they were Barbadians at heart, and their money, they didn't go back to England and live off it to England, only get the profits. And therefore they were committed to Barbados kind of development. And that has been inherited by us. And therefore we are losing it. But we're not replacing it with anything credible. We are just muddling through.
Caswell, your thoughts, my friend?
Well, while you were here, I am getting so many messages from people talking about the corruption. And I think this government seems to be synonymous with corruption. And it has to stop. You know, we have a government, and I keep telling people, this government had a winning formula. They know how to win. But that's one skill set. But there's another skill set now is to govern. And they are sadly lacking in that skill set. They have no clue what they're doing, and they're doing it regardless. And they're doing it for their friends. You know, look, Kmart told us who was now the contractor for the jetty, right? But you remember, he was the person who this government said he getting too much work under the Dems. Now he's gotten more work on this government than the Dems ever gave him, right? And so we're seeing it, all sort of corruption. Somebody just sent me a notice that says, look around the street on Saturdays and Sundays, and you can see a lot of MP cars driving, but with people who are supposed to be in certain ministries. Those vehicles are supposed to be parked because the people who are driving them get a travel allowance for using their own vehicle. So they are getting paid for using their own car and then using the government vehicle all weekend. Look around, you will see them. And as far as I know, the DPP, the Commissioner of Police, the Chief Justice, they have cars as part of their conditions of service. But and I'll tell you something, the Commissioner of Police don't use his. Driver go and get him in the morning with the official car, and on the weekend when he's not on duty, he uses his own vehicle. But we have people who are paid a travel allowance, and the government does nothing about it. I understand there is a particular minister who has a driver, when they get and a car available, when they are given a travel allowance for driving their own car. But I have to do some investigation into it because I don't think they get $7,500 for that driving that car. So I got to check and see what is the benefit. But all these things are wrong. The place is absolutely corrupt. You cannot look. There is nothing that happened in the Barbados though that you can put your hand and say that it is going well. It is going right. We have a lot of smoke and mirrors. People pretending to know what they're doing. It's like right now, and I'll tell you, if you need medical attention, all you got to do is get appointed some diaspora job, and you go to get the medical attention free. So I hope if I ever get sick, I could get appointed diaspora affairs officer or whatever it is to England or state so I can get my medicals done. All these things are happening in Barbados, and people think it is okay. It is not okay. Then you get people using the government credit cards, and maxing them out. And what they do? Well, you got know it too, because they max out the government credit card when they have no authority to do so. When you get a government credit card, you use the credit card in an emergency. I remember when I was a director at the credit union, they gave me a credit card when I was traveling. I was the secretary, so I had this card. And in case anybody on the team, when we had to travel, we go to World Conference of Credit Unions, or we went to the Caribbean Conference, Confederation of Credit Unions, what we call it these days, I don't know. Whenever we went, somebody had to have a credit card. So in case somebody got sick, emergency stuff, and you use that. However, I'm here to say that I never had to use mine. But people wants to get a credit card in Barbados today, they max it out, do what they like with it, and I don't think the Auditor General, who is starved for staff, can keep up with the amount of corruption in this place.
But Canada is a mindset, it's an attitude. When I was High Commissioner to Canada for almost 6 years, not 3. Yeah, anyhow, I had access to an office credit card. Never used it, never traveled with it, never was interested in it, never want. But I tell you what happened. One day, for some reason, the mail comes in the office, and you go through it. I came across this credit card statement and seeing a credit card being charged for Big B supermarket in Barbados and a gas station and stuff. So very strange. One of the officers took it from Canada and came to Barbados on vacation. I used it shopping at the supermarket, at the gas station, and whatnot. So people think that it is theirs, that they have access and entitlement. But of course, I had to pay it back. But about the principle of doing it, it is not yours, you don't use it. It's a taxpayer's own place, like Canada for special reason. I never took people to lunch on nothing. I could have taken people to lunch and nah. If you go to lunch, you go to lunch where you go to lunch. Because I was always conscious, I was just passing through. It's not mine.
You see, but the money in Barbados now is like mud on your shoes being passed through. A lot of it is thick. And that's what's happening here,
Glenn, Caswell, Kemar, I can throw something out here now that may sound like total insanity. I want to caution the opposition party to get ready. Stop playing games and get ready. Because I suspect, and Glenn, you can tell me, I mean, I'm only being suspicious, but I suspect that there's going to be an attempt to call an early general election in Barbados.
On what grounds?
That the Democratic Labour Party is not ready for it, so they will be returned to office with a majority.
I see.
I suspect so, because the noising that we are hearing going abroad at the moment from this show and from other increasing environments and areas is such that I don't think that they will be able to sustain this over the next 5 years or 3 years. and answer these questions. And I suspect that there may be a thought to go to early general election, catch the opposition with its pants down, and automatically, because by default, if you want to call it that, they'll be re-elected to office for another 5-year period. I just suspect so. You could call it a suspicion. People could say the Lord told me so, whatever. I just got that feeling, Glenn.
What I would say is that I understand the logic of what you're saying, but maybe it's because I have a sense of morality and right or wrong. In the same way, you could not. In the same way, I don't think that the need for a 2022 election was fully justified or fully explained. It was supposed to be called. We had to make some momentous decisions, and they want to get a mandate.
No.
I think it's even worse. I don't think it even go close to now. But you see, the problem is, with your logic, is that I think there's some people in government, the leadership in the government, believes their propaganda. Believe that they are strong and popular and loved and beloved, but believe in the trust and the mistrust. The level of mistrust is rising every day.
But that's why. That is why I am saying, because they are realizing it is rising every day, they are not going to wait for another 3 years. I suspect they're going to try to call an early general election. I may have just let the cat out the bag.
Why want to be
there's one consideration, though, Freddie, that you got to think about, is that
pensioners.
Yes, Glenn, exactly. You know, you have to be served for 8 years to qualify for your pension.
Who can care for that?
One of those fellas, a fella might not get his. You know, you would be surprised, but the Barbadians are so angry that some of them might not get re-elected, so they might be cut off at 7, and all you do then is get a refund.
But that may be our thinking, but I don't think it's the thinking of the higher ups. I don't think they frankly care. They just want to get back power, and they want to take advantage of the environment that we're in. I mean, you talked about a rising, you talked, Glenn, just now about a rising distrust. If that is left to continue over the next couple of years, they may fear getting dismissed out of government. Of course, the Democratic Labour Party, we hope, would be in a better position. I can't think of any other party at the moment. Very sorry. But, you know, I just got the feeling, I just got the sense that they will try to take advantage of that situation. You know what I'm saying?
Except that
I could be wrong. I mean, it's just a feeling I have. You know what I'm saying?
One of the key in politics, one of the key elements in maintaining support is patronage. Even you need loyalty, you need person around as long as you're there, and that alone, the need to maintain numbers and loyalty might be enough to keep it going. Because as long as you're there, you want people to be loyal and supportive of you. But we are hearing,
Glenn, we are hearing a rapid decline of that support from their own people. I have spoken with people in very high offices in this country who were staunch Labour Party support. Done with them. Finish. But they can't say anything because they fear their jobs.
People in law offices too, like me, who were very staunch supporters of Barbados Labour Party, ask Glenn. You're going to get more hardcore BLB than me, you know?
But Glenn, you know, they use the pandemic. They use the pandemic for the election, you know.
I see. And
the pandemic for the election.
No, you're onto that, Caswell. You realize, have we had a report on the 22nd election for the electoral?
No, so far I've been checking on it because I usually keep them. I think I have everyone except for 1971, and then so I as a matter of course I collect them, and the only one I don't have is the 1971.
Does the Electoral and Board Commission still meet? Because you hear nothing about it. We haven't heard anything out of it since
they don't meet now.
Not a thing. And mind you, Glenn, during the Bahamian election, during the pandemic, the Prime Minister of the Bahamas made provision for people who were what was the word again?
Infected?
Not lockdown. When they couldn't leave the homes, quarantined.
Yeah.
To be able to vote. No such provision was made in Barbados.
They never even attempted it. They never even came up with a proposal. It was just treated with contempt and
I
disdain.
forget that, I have not forgotten that, And that is why I'm saying, I don't know, call me a prophet. I don't know. I don't, you may call me one. I'm calling myself one. Because I say when a prophet speaks and if it don't come to pass, he should be stoned to death. I will live. So I ain't going to get up there and prophesy nothing. I just saying that I just feel that on the basis of the rising discomfort and all these questions that are now coming, this show is a problem, Glenn, this show is a problem. This show is educating Barbadians. And as you know, one of the best ways to market is word of mouth.
I know, but on the other hand, this government firmly believe in that old Roman and Greek principle of bread and circuses, food and entertainment, that you'll see on the 29th again.
That's why they're going to have the big thing at Botanical Gardens.
All that kind of thing. So yeah. Of course.
To distract from the real serious issues that this country faces.
The first thing you do is throw a fact. Easy thing to throw a fact. Have a show. We can tell you stories about that.
Go ahead, Kimar. I see you there looking through some stuff. I know you prepping.
Yes. I checked all the estimate sets revenue expenditure of Barbados. I checked 2018. I checked 2019. I checked 2020, 2021, and at no point in time did I see a line item in any of the estimates for sargassum seaweed and the sargassum seaweed program. Right?
Wow.
None. No estimate of Barbados has a line item for the sargassum seaweed program. Right? So the first 2 years that the Ministry of Blue Economy was up and functioning, I checked that also. And the only time sargassum seaweed was mentioned was under the strategic goals. Twice the word was mentioned on the strategic goals. And that was it. And I can read it for you exactly what it says. Sargassum seaweed and fisheries program. The program entails the conversion of sargassum seaweed to energy and any other value-added products, where the fisheries budget will be designated to reduce fish wastage through the utilization of a resource to produce biodiverse byproducts. And that was the only time sargassum seaweed was ever mentioned in the estimates of Barbados. Anything to do with any seaweed program, right? So I checked just now. And the evidence is there for Barbados to go and see that the government is just corrupt to the core. That they could run, not the thing, but I mean, it blows my mind, guys. That I'm thankful for the internet that you can go and check these things instantly, but it breaks my heart to know that every time I go searching, I just run into corruption.
But Kimar, I'm not surprised at what you discovered, because you look at today. Today they came to justify the existence of the equipment concept. They never mentioned, okay, it's down now, we're going to but we have a program that will start next month, next year, we'll do that. Nothing. So that was just a PR stunt to try to appease that they probably keep people off of go first back and give the appearance they're doing something. But otherwise they would have said, okay, this is a setback. But did they mention anything long term? Next month, next year, year after next, whatever? No, from what I've heard.
But Glenn, the minister responsible, because I saw the article in the Barbados Today. I think it was an editorial. It must have been an editorial by the Barbados Today, where they talk about the minister saying that he is not what it was again. He is not unduly. I stand to be corrected, man. I saw somebody sent it to me. Where the minister is talking about how he's not disappointed at the situation with the housing. If you would have a minister that would say that, in spite of all that has been exposed, how could you not be disappointed?
Where he's concerned, I feel like he should have been fired, and Minister Duguay downgraded from senior to junior minister. Because our system of government, the Westminster system, where the prime minister is supposed to be primus among inter pares, first among equals, always supposed to equal. We only had a senior minister when it was done as a political gesture towards Billy Miller around 2003. All the other ministers were the same level, something, right? And for a senior minister to do that, a man who was minister of housing, then a senior minister supervising and coordinating infrastructure, and with that, he should be stripped of his senior title at least. Duguay, who I remember, let me finish. I remember the prime minister stretching across her fingers and told Duguay, I am holding you, not Duguay, sorry, Sutherland, I am holding you responsible for this housing program. I'm putting it on you. You saw that. And nothing so happened. That doesn't matter.
But
no
Glenn,
discipline.
Glenn, you are being unusually generous tonight, you know. I mean, demoted to just minister. He should be demoted to the backbench. Let me tell you something. What Barbados does not know. A lot of people are putting their hands in Sutherland. When DWIGHT started this program with the Chinese getting the steel houses here, those steel houses that were only guaranteed to last for 7 years. They were only supposed the max their lifespan is 7 years.
What?
Yes, trust me on that. And he sourced them. Even when he was removed as Minister of Housing, he continued to deal with that program. And I understand only a couple of weeks ago that it was passed over to Sutherland. But I don't know if Sutherland would tell anybody so, because he might be frightened for the big girl too. So he might not say anything. But he only got responsibility for them a few weeks back. So we got to be careful what's happening in this place, you know. A minister of housing that didn't have didn't have the power to deal with anything in housing. I remember a lady came to me one day because she knew me from my old Barbados, the party days, and she said that she got a house that was damaged in one of the storms and stuff, and she went to Duguay when he was minister, and Duguay said he can't help you because he can't even get one for himself. You know, he gonna get a house allocated for the body because they were being allocated by the big girl. And this lady came and asked me, I said, well, I can't do nothing. I can't help her. You know, so the housing is in a mess. And it's in a mess precisely because the Prime Minister wants it to be in a mess so she can come out someday down the road and say, oh, I fixed it. Because she always has to look good. You know, so she always rushes in at the end.
Well, if I may guess correctly, I just recall something that somebody pointed out to me. What I call this Obzoki way of governing. Good old Belgian Obzoki. When you talk about a minister of housing who had nothing to do with housing, remind me of, I'm told that the minister responsible for crime prevention, right? The program is in the Attorney General's office, but the minister, Lane, reports to the Prime Minister. You follow that?
Well, that means that she's the Attorney General too. And we got a nuisance Attorney General walking about the place, threatening public officers. I want to talk about that tonight. I can talk about it now. They want to do lie detector tests. Customs, they want to do lie detector tests on customs officers, prison officers, and all kinds of people. And they have been going around. As a matter of fact, it was reported to me that the Attorney General told some people, some public officers at a meeting, that if they don't take lie detector tests, they will be transferred from their department. Now, if that person is a customs officer, prison officer,
right,
police officer, you hear I'm calling specific titles?
Right.
Not clerical officer, not permanent secretary, not executive officer. Those posts that last few they call are what you call general service posts. The others like police, customs, immigration, fire officers, these are departmental posts. You cannot be transferred from a department a departmental post unless you ask them to do you a favor and you agree to go. So when they come threatening public officers, telling them that they will be transferred, you can't transfer them. And what is even worse, there's a person called the Director General of Public Service who is supposed to deal with the unions and the officers to like if there are going to be any changes to their terms and conditions, not the Minister of Labor and the Attorney General walking about threatening people. It is not their job. It is not their role. They have no right. That is why I asked Glenn at the beginning, when he was the minister, if people were on from the beginning, do we hear me asking Glenn, when you were minister, did you have any meetings with public officers and stuff? And Glenn's answer was, Glenn answered began because the people don't gonna believe me.
I said, me personally, no, never. It was unthinkable. We followed the system. We involved the unions, we involved the PS, the administration of unions, and we sat together. But I myself have never gone in and berate anybody for the most simple thing is
because
principle is wrong.
PSs meet with ministers that pass on the information. You do not go below that. You have a permanent secretary. Mind you, permanent secretaries are not permanent secretaries because they put them on contract, so they're not permanent anymore. You got a temporary permanent secretary. You know, this government is the best. You know.
The gang that can shoot straight.
Yeah, there's a new definition.
You got temporary permanent secretaries. You know what I mean? And that is who the minister is supposed to meet with. I understand ministers want to allocate duties to clerical officers and people in their ministry. That is not their responsibility. They decide who will drive the particular vehicle in a ministry. Ministers are getting down to that.
But
they have no right.
No wonder the administration is such a mess. Before they spend their time with the NG trying to administer and make sure policies and programs are done well and on time under their policy and program, they're trying to find work.
I remember
laziness.
I remember when Branford Tate was Minister of Health, when the hospital was transitioning. He got the PSs and things to go out there and do the threatening. He stayed back and stayed clean. You know, but no, these people, an attorney general who should go and fix the laws that we got, the ones that they mess up. That's his job. Rather than these are threatening public officers, telling public officers they can get transferred if they don't take the lie detector test. Now, let me tell you something about this lie detector test. Some time ago, I was invited to a meeting with the Comptroller of Customs and the then Chief Immigration Officer. They had instructions to involve me in this thing. I understand from cabinet into this whole thing about lie detector, truth verification, test, and all kind of stuff, and searching at the harbor and the airport. I said to them up front, I have no difficulty that the only body should come through the airport and the harbor without being searched is the president and prime minister. My job was to search the prime minister, but you gotta give her the office. You know what I mean? Everybody else, I saw with my own two eyes Errol Barra coming to customs when it was at the airport and submitting his bags for checking. That was the right action, Errol Barra, you know. So if he could do it, anybody could do it. So I am saying, and I said to the Comptroller of Customs and the Chief Immigration Officer, I have no difficulty with people coming to work and being tested. I can tell you why I say that. If the airport and the seaport are very secure areas, and you might want to introduce a gun into that environment, but a person who is not searched can walk through the airport with a gun in his pocket and go in the bathroom and hand it to a fella while his wife is home being babysat by the fellow who giving the gun and say, well, if you don't carry this gun, your wife here with me. If I can carry anything, unless you don't like the wife and you really want to get rid of her, you know, he can carry the gun. So if everybody knows that everybody going through those doors will be searched, then there's no possibility that something like that should happen or could happen. both of them said to me, "We never thought of that." I said, "You better think about it." You see, I'm trained in security too, so I put those proposals. Then when I came up with the lie detector test, I said, "No problem with lie detector test if the cabinet get theirs first. Lead by example." So the cabinet has refused to take lie detector test, but want to put it on other people. They don't want to check and find out, did you give so and so a contract and get back peace? Did that $7,500 was part of a bribe? They don't want to answer those questions. So they will exclude themselves from the truth verification testing. I am saying to you that a government minister has more opportunity to be corrupt than any prison officer, any police officer, any customs officer, any fire officer, anybody else. That those posts that they're targeting. So why not take the test to put me at ease? Because I'm going to say, oh, my ministers are clean. Our corruption index is way down. We ain't corrupt. Because when we check our ministers, we realize that they're squeaky clean. They do not want to do that. And as a matter of fact, they were supposed to get back to me on it, but then come back because the cabinet ain't going that road whatsoever. They want to check to see if everybody else telling lies but them. And that is my problem with these people walking about threatening public officers. First, they don't have the authority to meet with public officers and tell them anything. That is not their job. The public service is handled by public officers who take the instructions from the ministers. You do not, as a minister, go and tell public officers what to do or come to meetings and threaten them. The meeting should be with the permanent secretaries, and in this case, the Director General Ministry of Public Service, because those are the people responsible for their conditions of service. I hate to see ministers in front of public officers telling them for because they can get their agree. But they're out there terrorizing people now, and people are calling me every day now since these things happen, complaining that the Attorney General and Colin Jordan, and then when contracts will meet with anybody, he ain't gonna meet with anybody. He ain't gonna meet with me. Not to discuss public service rules or regulations. So the only minister that I might meet with would be the minister responsible for the public service, because you can negotiate terms and conditions, or the minister responsible for the prisons, because they have certain dual role in there where they have this prison board and all kind of nonsense. So I could probably deal with them, but nobody else has to deal with them. And mind you, not to discuss terms and conditions with them of the other minister, other than the minister of public service. All the rest are supposed to stay out of the business. As a matter of fact, Glenn was responsible for the public service, and he never met with public officers because his job was to talk to the PS. He did, you can ask him, you know. So I have great difficulty with these people walking around the place. I can't say masquerading as ministers, but being ministers and not performing the functions of their office in accordance with well-established procedure, and not in accordance with the law or conventions that we have adopted out of the Westminster system. I got a lot of things to say about Freddie. Them can go away for another night because there's a couple of enough things I want to tell you.
But this is an expansive area that you're dealing with, Caswell. That I know we ain't gonna be able to, even if we were to give you a whole show. I'm pretty sure that we won't be able to cover it all. So getting the little bits and snippets into it certainly beneficial for me, because I'm making notes while you're speaking, making notes while Glenn is speaking, and Kimar. I'm looking at 12 minutes to 10, so we have a few more minutes left. Kimar, I want to jump back to you. Me, with all that you're hearing, what are your thoughts?
Well, I was going to ask as well, what role would the leader of opposition play in these discussions, if he does have a role? Because changing the terms and conditions of workers, I suspect that the leader of opposition will have to have some input, some level of consultation or whatever. So I wanted to find out if that was the case, because on Sunday, right? I'm not sure when the next sitting of Parliament, but I am listening out for when the opposition leader, but because you'll be able to tell me when the opposition leader will have some type of input in all these changes. Now, before we had Atlee, and then we had nobody. So I know certain decisions in the public service are to be made in consultation with the opposition leader and the office of opposition leadership. So I was wondering what role would Mr. Thorne uh, play, and also I would just like to give him a small plug, because he's supposed to be having a big meeting in Christchurch this Sunday, right? Um, a big meeting. So I was wondering if we were discussing he will have a role in it if it's on the order paper.
No, let me explain.
Right.
The minister governs the public service through orders. They used to call them, in Glenn's days, used to call them the civil establishment orders, but now we call them public service orders. Same thing, they just moved the word civil establishment, put public service. Nothing has changed. But under the law, as it stands right now, the minister responsible for public service determines the amount of people, the amount of offices in the public service. And then it says the minister by order establishes offices in the public service. 2, determine the number of persons who may be appointed to those offices. So you might say they have clerical officers, and then the minister might limit it to 900. So you can't have 902. Then the minister might prescribe the qualifications for persons appointed to these offices. I'll get back to that. And then the minister determines the emoluments to be attached to those offices. When you determine the emoluments, that's salary negotiations. You determine them based on the discussions with the unions, and when the unions and you agree or don't agree, you still have to come back to Parliament and make an order. So that's where they did the opposition, but they say when it comes to salaries, because that order has to come before Parliament. All of these orders, except the one for qualifications, must go before the House, and they are subject to affirmative resolution, meaning that when you make these orders, you're going to carry the House for the House to approve, and then to the Senate. Except the ones for qualifications, and that has been a source of confusion and misery for me, because sometimes you don't change the qualifications by going to Parliament. The minister just makes an order and change the qualifications. But what happens? Sometimes you have a fellow who ain't got the qualifications. So you would see the minister, when you see the ad for the job, you will see different qualifications, and those settle in the qualifications order, because you see every job in the public service has a qualification attached to it. But because the minister can change it, and we have had more changes now than ever in the past, because between 1947 and the next set was in the I can't remember, it's in the 70s or 80s, they had about 2 changes. But we get in them every week now. The problem here is that you might have a person who does not have the qualification, but you want a job for him. So the minister assesses his experience and his training and stuff, even though he doesn't have the qualification, and say, well, his education and training amounts to the degree or whatever it is you want, so he can get the job. And we right now we have situations like this. I remember when my friend Kennedy, who just passed a couple of months ago, he was the number 4 man at the telecommunications unit. He had the qualifications for that post, but he was acting at number 3, but because he didn't have the qualifications, he cannot be appointed to the number 3 position. Mind you, he had the qualifications for chief, so he could have been appointed chief, but he cannot be appointed as the deputy or or the person on the line. Why? Because they change the qualifications so much to accommodate their own friends that he now had better qualifications. He was required to have better qualifications than the man who was responsible for the department. All right, and this happens a lot. Mind you, but this one I talk about it another night because right now there is no qualification for commissioner of police, none. A constable, every constable in Barbados needs more qualification than the commissioner of police, but that's a relic from England when they used to bring down the white captains and colonels and things from the British Army and make a commissioner of police. So they don't have any qualifications. I look for them. It is still the case now, even though they say that if you have this particular qualification is desirable, it is not required by law. So the leader opposition has been, to answer Kimara's question, he would get a chance when it comes before the House to be debated. But what happens with these things? They stick them through. You know, you put them in and you don't get a chance to debate them. You don't even know when they're coming. You know, so I have the public service is essentially being destroyed. And it's being destroyed in preference for a lot of these statutory boards and stuff, where the minister is responsible for the statutory board and he can give directions to the chairman of the boards or whatever, and so they can get away. So right now you just took national insurance out of the public service, so that any number could play. And of course, statutory boards have qualifications for their jobs, but those qualifications are not mandatory. They're mandatory in the public service because the qualifications in public service are settled in a law.
Right.
Statutory boards qualifications are settled in a suggestion. So even if you don't have the necessary qualifications, we had a man who was a CEO at a statutory board, and I hate to say this, but he went to Combermere and he left with this empty lunch box. That is all he left with. But he was a CEO, general manager, because they can do that. So they're destroying the public service in preference for places where they can put their people in. The Prime Minister now has an additional power, but not power, because the Constitution that was amended in 1974 to become effective the 1st of January 1975 gives the Prime Minister the right to be consulted on who should fill the top posts in public service, permanent secretary, deputy permanent secretary, departments, and head of departments and their deputies. We have misinterpreted consultation to mean that the Prime Minister determines who that person is. And we have case law on it that we can use in a persuasive environment, because Trinidad made a similar amendment to their constitution, and they had that where the Prime Minister should be consulted. When Patrick Manning was Prime Minister, he recommended a particular person for the permanent secretary. And the commission said, yes, that's your recommendation, and thank you for your recommendation, but we picking this body else. Patrick Manning took him to court, and the court ruled against him. He said, you were consulted. You think somebody in Barbados would tell our Prime Minister, no, that not only because you picked them, and they're not going to defy you. Even if you're putting square pegs in round holes, and let me tell you something, you have a lot of square pegs. Give an example. I am complaining for the chairman of the Vaughan School Board. I went to the ministry. Permanent secretary told me go and talk to the board. I said, Kadir, I can't complain to the body that I'm complaining for. And she insists, she's permanent secretary, you know, of education, insisting that I complain to the person who I'm complaining for. And I've never seen that kind of logic anywhere. Because if I were a person who received complaints and somebody sent me one, I would say, okay, if I know fault of that man, you know. But this is what we have in the place. They're picking people, not necessarily because they have the ability to do the job, but because they might have the Prime Minister's ear.
Well, that's what they call pragmatism. I think that's what they call pragmatism. I was watching a video a little earlier with the successful development of Singapore that was in our chat, and the gentleman mentioned three aspects, Glenn, out of the acronym MPH. One was let me make sure I get it. Meritocracy. That is getting the best people to do the job. Not your lackeys, the best people. He mentioned pragmatism. Stop. A black cat and a white cat will both kill mice. So it doesn't matter your ideological issue as long as you get the job done. And then the last one he mentioned was honesty. And he was making the point that corruption brings down every third world country. Every third world country. And,
there's one I want to put in here. I can't. I don't want to go tonight.
You got to be quick.
I can be quick. Some time ago, a young man took his former employers to the Employment Rights Tribunal because he decided that he's not going to be missed, and he's changing his thing, and the employers he didn't got along with that. Okay.
Yes.
So he took them for the tribunal for some sort of discrimination or what have you. All right. Now, it pains me to think what this government has delved into and gotten into. He's suing his former employers because they didn't treat him like a woman.
Remember, you got to be quick. I'll be at 10.
But now, I'm going to share with you an email from a government department that now employing this man that calls himself a woman. The email says, "Good day, colleagues. Please be advised that with effect from February 5th, 2024, the Commitment for Results CFR Department welcome the following 3 staff members: Mrs. Alicia Adamson, Downs, Senior CFS Coordinator; Mr. Edwin Lawrence, Senior CFR Coordinator; and Miss Alexa Hoffman, Clerical Officer." This is the man that a government department will call him Miss in their circulars. This is where we're going, Freddie. He is a man. He born a man. He changed his name to a woman name, but he's still a man. And the government is now recognizing that behavior and publishing it as a miss. Let me tell you something, see?
Well, that just shows
you're talking about decadence.
This shows you the level we've dropped to. What did I say a few minutes ago? When the people groan and when the people rejoice. You can
call him a mess in a government email announcing their staff. Mind you, I joined the public service on the 2nd of January 1980. But we didn't have email in those days. But nothing ever come out and welcome me. Yeah. And I don't know if anybody else that got welcomed in the public service. Greg would probably know because he was minister responsible. But we don't call him recommended. But it has to be this. You're welcoming this person to the public service. This Miss Alexa Hoffman. He's a man. And government correspondents should not refer to him as Miss.
Well, as you mentioned a little earlier, Caswell, these things slip in. And if we don't raise the matters here in this show, they will go unaffected, they will go unknown, they will go unattended. And so we have to speak here. But listen, guys, it's 10:02, and I know Marcia is going to want to make sure that I wrap up as close to 10 o'clock as possible. So let me give Kimar and yourself, Glenn, the opportunity to present your closing comments tonight. It's been just a stunning night, really. Kimar, that sargassum situation, that's just stunning. So let me go first with you, and then Glenn, and well, Caswell, I would say that was your closing. That was your closing comment just now. Then
no, that was my lead up to my next set of things. To the next program.
Next program Friday. Okay, good. No problem. Kimar, your closing.
I ain't closing.
Okay. Kimar, your closing comments, sir.
Yeah, well, every time we come to the people, is some type of conundrum going on.
Yeah.
But First, I wanted to say good night to Marcia. Was expecting to see her, but all of the ladies are off here. All men on tonight.
Yeah. She
Maxine.
was on. She was on earlier live from Combermere.
Oh, but I missed.
You may have missed that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But nevertheless, good night to her. All the best at Combermere. Rose and Heather, all the other ladies. Good night to you. I am on tomorrow. Alternate views at 7 p.m. And just to round off, I just don't know. I would like, and you have the picture here again. I would like the government to really to come clean. I heard Minister Humphrey today, but I'm not satisfied with what he said. I know for a fact that he was given an order to go there and say what the feel good thing to say. But I want to hear from the Minister of Environment, Adrian Ford. And we the public should know when Adrian Ford is coming back to Barbados so we can line up at the airport, press conference style, and ask him what is really happening with this seaweed harvester, because I checked it, Pastor Ferdinand, on this show. You saw me with my head down checking it out.
Yes.
I checked all of those estimates, and the seaweed program is not accounted for in none of them. Right? But still, that program hired people in Barbados, gave them jobs, money was spending, Pastor Ferdinand, and there's no account for it. Right? So as I say, whenever I think that the government can signal lower, they just raise the bar lower and lower and lower.
Lower.
Lower to go. Yeah. And this is another one of those situations that stinks. Just how bad that seaweed smells, right? They need to come on account for the possible millions that was spent during that seaweed program without any account for it. So I throw that out there to the minister, Adrian Ford, who's the Minister of Environment, and if Humphrey wants to come back and respond, let it be. But this particular program, given the fact that it's one of these climate change agenda programs, we need to know and understand how many millions were spent through that seaweed program. As we can clearly see, there is no accountability or transparency whatsoever with this seaweed program, and that is why the seaweed machine can be hidden down Concept Bay, rotting away, and all of the cobwebs and all the rust eating out all the thing and broken down, and it can't be fixed. Humphrey needs to be factual and say to Barbadians that the machine ain't really down for repairs, right? That the machine was down a long while ago, and the 2-point-some US million that the Japanese government gave to the government of Barbados, that should have been enough, plus the $300,000, plus whatever other monies they spent to pay salaries and wages and whatever else they did. That is where we need accounting, proper accounting, transparent accounting, Pastor Ferdinand. Good night.
Well, one of the things I'm going to ask you or suggest to you, if there was any comment or any reference in the Auditor General's report with regards to it, that may be something you might want to look into. I don't know all of the details there, but you might want to peep in there and see if he says anything about it. Mr. Glenn Murray, sir.
Yes, sir.
Oh, thank wow. You. What a tremendous night presentation we had from you. Really appreciative of it. Your closing comments, sir?
First of all, I just like to warn Kierman that no matter how high the stench from the sargassum seaweed flies in his eyes, and don't hold his nose in anticipation or hope of a press conference, which is what we want. As part of my call for information starvation, they're not going to expose them into a genuine where you can ask them point by point and point. They want to present to you as a press briefing, so don't hold that. But Kimar, maybe tomorrow night, this thing came up in my substantive presentation when I raised the question of where the Prime Minister describing the Trust for Development when you apply to Town Plan Development Department that your application, they have changed the rules and the laws, a presumption in favor of development. I would like to get your thought. What I would like to explain to you, because it bothers me. And to me, that's a prejudiced position. So you make an application with the understanding that there's a presumption in favor of development. I would like to get your thoughts on that sometime.
We'll have to get his thoughts tomorrow.
Right.
I suspect. I mean, I've listened to the last couple of them. I think one a week ago he dealt with the estimates or something like that. I happened to get into that one. To listen to that one, we was reviewing the budget. Really excellent. Okay, Mar, we'll be.
Only Kmar would have found that machine. Only Kmar would have found that machine.
Well, listen, gents. I mean, I know it would take Kmar to make the note that there were only men on tonight and no ladies, but so. But guys, listen, it's been a great show. Another absolutely educational exercise, Caswell. Listening to you to deal with the civil servants and the temporary permanent secretaries. That one I had to write down. I wrote that one down. Temporary. I did not know the two of those words were synonymous. I had no idea. But it seems that with things changing.
I learned from Nigel Barrow, who said that they're submerged to the top.
That was Errol Barrow.
No, I heard Nigel with it.
Oh, okay.
I didn't hear. He wrote it one day in a column.
I tell you, Glenn, thanks again. I mean, my goodness,
it's a pleasure.
My goodness, man. I tell you, you guys got me. I gotta keep quiet. I can't say a word on this show when all of this stuff coming out. When you said 1950, what year was in this thing?
1951.
1951. I wasn't even thought about then, Glenn.
Oh man, you missed a lot. Too bad for you, boy. You missed a lot. I saw the glory days of Barbados.
No, but Glenn, somebody just said that you did a very good job researching this thing. Even at your age. It was in one of the comments there.
No. Because of my age. Because of my age, Inspector.
Oh my goodness! I mean,
the brain keeps on working when you use it. When you stop using it, it gives up on you.
You see, I tell people I am not old. I'm just getting older.
I tell them I'm 24 years old with 40 something years experience.
Okay.
But really, you talked about something being built. Was it the government headquarters that was built in 1956?
Open on the 20th of March 56. Open the 20th of March 56.
Right,
Captain Tomlin.
And just a couple of months later, my mother decided to deliver me. So I missed that by a few months. So I wouldn't know anything about it. Oh, goodness. But gentlemen, thank you all so very much. Oh, my goodness. What an informative, educational night it has been. We want to thank all of you in the loyal opposition who have been with us, stayed with us. I think we got over 1,400, close to 1,475 or something tonight. Not that we're looking at that as our measuring standard, but we certainly appreciate the support and all that has been contributed from you, because we've been reading the comments as we've been going through the night. Of course, we miss Marcia, but she is busy. I'm going to ask Dave just to put that flyer back up, if he could be, as we wrap up. She's busy with the rehearsals for Speak Life this coming weekend. And I think I had put it in the chat, the link that you could go to the website and you can get your free tickets. Now, the admission is free, but you need to get a ticket because Combermere does not have an inexhaustible supply of chairs and space. It has a limited room. And so you need to get your tickets that you can get in for the show on Saturday and Sunday. Saturday is April the 13th, Sunday, April the 14th, both evenings at 6:30 and at Combermere School. And I want to remind us of the upcoming health festival in that would be in May, I believe. Dave, if you could put those 3 flyers up right afterwards. In May the 24th and the 25th, this health and wellness festival that is, we heard Valerie Hoyt share regarding this on Monday, and I know she'll be coming back on before the festival. I think there's one that has the websites, Dave, and the TikTok and those addresses and the GoFundMe addresses, if you can put that one up as well. And then the one to do with the essays. the essay competition. I think that's it there. You can make that one a little bigger. If you can enlarge that a little bit. Yes, May 24th, 25th shows the activities for the entire family, all inclusive. There'll be health and wellness checks, financial wellness presentations, kids zone games, giveaways, dominoes, wow, and other games, food and drinks on sale, and then the one to do with the essays. There's going to be a essay competition that is also going to be hosted as a result of it. We want to remind you of all of these activities upcoming in May. All right, so thank you so much for being with us. Thank you, Glenn. Again, thank you, Kimar. God bless you, my friend, my young upcoming firebrand. I tell you, we're
Private
looking
detective.
forward to he get a new title tonight, Private Investigator Kimar Stewart. And of course, General Caswell. Look forward to hearing you on Friday. So until Friday, guys.
Thank you, gentlemen. Good night.
English. Pretending to be good. Hey, pretending to be good. Just pretending to be good. Hey, pretending to be good. I just pretending to care about people. 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 Pretending, and I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people. And I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people. I'm pretending to be good. And I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people. And I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people.
Hey, man. God bless you guys.
Kimar,
Take care.
today when I saw that thing, because I was in a meeting, and when I came, I saw this thing. I said, "Oh, Kimar, get these things."
You will talk with them